is Ricky Glore. Welcome to Daddio, yo.
Yeah, we got a guest again this week. Everyone, please welcome to the show my friend Tristan Miller.
Give it up for your boy.
Coming in live from the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
So I always complain that we do this too early and I'm very tired, but you have the opposite problem.
It is 1 a.m. at the moment. Yeah.
Am I peaking a little bit on the mic?
I couldn't begin to know that. That sounds like a technical issue.
Well, does it sound good or bad?
That sounds like an issue that I don't give a fuck about. That sounds like your problem. Oh my gosh. I didn't know there was somebody snarkier than you, Glenn.
God, is this just going to be you two teaming up on me the whole time?
Snark Fest.
Well, this is going to be the
2025.
shortest episode of Daddio we've ever done.
I will say, when you said peeking, I thought you were like looking at the mic.
I looked down at my mic. There's a little dial on it.
I thought you meant career-wise, and I almost knee-jerk said yes really fast, and I was like,
God.
oh no.
No, that was years
Maybe
ago,
it could
man.
be, a kind of
We're well
Chinese
past the peak.
chicken dish, you know. Or sorry, duck dish.
Peking.
Yeah. Peking.
Oh, this
Or
episode's going to
really
be
good at
fucking
pissing.
stupid.
I'm the pee king. I'm the piss prince. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The piss
king of
prince.
pee. I've always said that about you, bud.
Yeah.
Dave Piss is the king of pee.
Oh, that's a
Don't
good
take it away
point.
from
We still
Dave
had Dave
Piss.
Piss on. I think you are the two people I have discussed Dave Piss with the most.
Aaliyah. We are the two. I was going to say the two
Yeah.
people that you mention frequently.
Oh yeah, no, I talk about other people with you, but
Aaliyah Brown. No,
I don't
you
like
talk
hang out with
two
my
other
mom,
people.
and I was like, "Oh, mom, you know who's great? Dave Piss. You would love.
Piss.
You would love my friend Brian's weird anti-comedy character, Dave Piss. I don't think Pam would be into it. Look,
Pam kissed me this weekend, so
me too.
Oh.
yeah. Before she saw me
On the
perform,
lips?
She
Yeah,
did
I'm gonna
kiss me
French
after.
your mom. That's what's gonna.
I didn't wash his
Okay.
cheek since.
Mm. So
No, it's a
really nominal
smoocheroo.
for you.
It was like a plant, and then like a dismount,
Oh.
like
you
one
love
of
a
those
dismount.
smooches. A smooch.
point.
It was a smooch. I mean, Glenn's always talking about smooching me. It was
Have
about
you-
sometime someone in the Tickle family did it.
Have you ever actually gotten like a lipstick mark after?
Ooh, that's a
kissing
great
somebody?
question.
Hey, thanks.
I think in theater.
I mean, I've never
Oh,
been
shit.
on a date that was in the middle of a 1950s cartoon, so I don't think so.
Mhm. When you go on a date, do you get dressed up still?
When you go on a you and Steph date,
Yeah.
Like when you're
on a public mandate,
little bow tie. I've seen you wear a bow
Sometimes.
tie.
do you look like a smug genie?
I got
when you
lots
go
of
on
bow
dates?
ties. I used to wear them all the time. And then we had a baby, and then you can't keep a suit clean while you're holding a baby, so I stopped wearing suits all the time.
Yep.
That's true.
And
That's literally my opening 5 minutes of
Yeah.
my act right now. Is wearing a suit and being like, I know this doesn't look like it belongs in a suit.
when I was doing my the first autism assessment last week, I explained how I literally wore the same outfit every day for like 3 years, and it was great. But then I couldn't do it anymore because of the baby, and I think about it. I think about going back to it all the time, but I can't decide what it would be because I can't find a pair of pants that I like. Like if I
Yeah.
find a good pair of pants, I'm buying 4 of them, and then that's just pants. Like that's
100%.
pants settled for the rest of
I've-
my life.
Thought about doing that a lot, but I'm just so stylish that I'm like, well, it is.
It throws
But,
off your
no, I'm-
options of style and mood.
Well, I think it would be.
No,
It
I
would be
wasn't saying
suit, but with
that
t-shirt.
judging. I was saying do you think that's why you like having options is because
yeah,
it kind of
absolutely.
is it's an extension of self.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, am I feeling like a slut or not? That and like, it is. It's like really, depends on how you want to present. But like the idea of being like a Doug Funny, where you just have the same outfit
It's
lined
the
up,
dream.
and you're like, you know exactly what I don't have to think about it. That's one
Is
of the
that
reasons David
so?
Lynch
You're
likes
young
me.
though. Like what's your
I'm
age?
32.
Okay, maybe there is not for everybody, of course, because to speak in absolutes is Sith, and that's insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Do what I must. Did you watch that in theaters?
I did.
Fucking rip.
We've talked about you where you called the original 6 movies. I was like, he's fucking insane and he's dead to me and I don't even know him. Yeah, no, I was like, oh, We're going to spend 20 minutes on Order 66, 86.
66.
66,
God,
you
read a
got it.
book.
Well, I mean, to 86
Particularly-
something, it makes more sense. Like, so that's why I always get confused. I'm like,
funny.
are we
69
86
no
and
Jedi.
like, but that's not a joke. That's literally we're 86
Like
them off the menu.
Yeah. We no longer have
What's Harvey
names.
Firestein, the emperor now?
That's funny.
Side,
Let me tell
I
you,
will
the
close this
Jedi
tab
book.
of Revenge of the Sith. And the other thing that I was going to say with age and costuming, but the one time I met Harvey Firestein, they were doing Kinky Boots in Chicago, testing it before they went to New York City. And with the Chicago Gay Men's Chorus, I went with my brother, and we're sitting in the balcony, and Harvey Firestein sitting like 2 rows in front of us. And I was like, this is a pretty comfortable atmosphere. This is a test run for a show. The audience is predominantly flamboyant gay men. I'm going to ask Harvey Firestein for his autograph just because he is somebody who's kind of weirdly been in my life in one way or another since a child. Like, rarely do you see people like that, like a Robin Williams or something. But I went up and I was like, Mr. Firestein, can I have your autograph? And I was like, oh, and you can make it to Ricky. And like, he stopped and goes, honey, I'm going to write my name and then you can put whatever the fuck you want above it.
That's very good.
And I was like, I love that I was able to say something to get a Harvey Firestein like response.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, we're waiting at Newport on the Levee Mall, AMC, for like 4 hours in this long ass line going down to see the final of the series. We're going to finally see Darth Vader, and we're watching the movie and we're like, fuck, they've got to kill all the Jedi in one movie. Like, is this whole movie going to be like a horror movie? Like, they're going to be just fucking hunting down Jedi? Like, when does it instigate that these Jedi got to spread and like make like a tree and leave? That's going to be a really cool storyline in this movie, and diluted because we're like, well, he didn't do that in fucking Phantom Menace and he didn't do it in Attack of the Clones. Why would he make a good movie now? Especially when all he's doing is the easiest shit of just wrapping everything up to get to Vader.
Yeah, but what if Anakin made C-3PO, you know? Like,
I think
wow.
that'd be really cool.
Wouldn't it be great?
But they killed
Wouldn't
the
it not just be
Jedi
an excuse to get the robots that you know are going to sell more
montage.
toys in a movie?
like in
Wouldn't
a,
it just be
in
like a
30
really
second
fun
montage.
character?
They 86 all the Jedi. So the most,
think
but what they do spend an
it's
hour
5
on
minutes.
is a Yoda and Emperor Palpatine fight, which we know the outcome of,
But it
juxtaposed
does
with
rule.
an Obi-Wan and
I hated
Anakin
it. I
fight,
hated
which we know
flipping
the
Yoda.
outcome of.
Which
Like,
is sick as hell.
it's
you considered-
great. It's great. But like,
When
It's-
little Tristan saw the commercial where they said Yoda man,
Can I tell you?
he's like, he is. I'm going to get that as a tattoo.
oh, Yoda is
It's
the
fun.
man. I
Yoda
can't
man.
wait.
What's crazy
This is gonna
about
be
that
incredible.
one is it ends with him, the announcer saying Yoda da man, and I'm like, in case you didn't get it, it's Yoda da man. Now, here's the thing, Ricky. When I said, "Did you see that in theaters?" I meant a couple of weeks ago when they re-released it.
No, because I done did that once and I ain't doing it again.
That's fair enough.
When people
I
are like,
was-
Revenge of the Sith is my favorite of the prequels, I'm like, we can all objectively agree that Attack of the Clones is the worst. But I was like, I think Phantom Menace is the
it's
best.
the best one. It's also it's certainly my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't think it's
Of
the
all
best one.
time, top to be, tease
Yeah.
to be.
There's not a
Mine
single
goes-
Ewok in the goddamn thing. How is it your favorite?
It goes Phantom Menace, it goes Star Wars, then it goes Last Jedi. I have very controversial taste.
You are just all over the map, kid.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is insane.
Yeah.
Do you put Last
I-
Jedi because you feel like you have to pick one from each trilogy? Are you being
No, I genuinely like
diplomatic? Okay.
Um,
No, I mean,
I think it's nice.
I think Last Jedi has some of the best of Star Wars and the worst of Star Wars, but
it. Yeah, for sure.
Again,
But
it
yeah,
doesn't
no, I
have the
think-
best of Star Wars. No Ewoks in that one either.
porgs, pseudo Ewoks.
Get out of here. Shut your mouth. Take that back.
mm,
Shut
I
your
like
whore
how you
mouth.
were complaining about George trying to, I just need to sell more toys, but the Ewoks were the whole thing with this toy selling.
Yeah, and they're great. He nailed it.
They are. I love the cartoon series. I had on DVD Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor, and then
Yeah,
I lent it to
those are
some
the best
guy,
Star
and
Wars
he
movies.
never gave it back. When I lost respect for Simon Pegg,
Welcome back to When I Lost Respect for Simon Pegg.
No, it's when
Mission
when
Impossible?
Yeah, no, I was just like, how dare you? That
Just
mission
hooking
seems-
his wagon to that like insanity, but whatever.
But in his memoir, he's talking about, there's some time dedicated to how much he dislikes the prequels, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. But he talks about going to see the Ewok movies in the cinema in Britain, and I'm like, if you consider those Star Wars movies,
You've already been
You-
disappointed by Star Wars. If you've
Also,
seen the
like-
holiday
No,
special,
Hey,
if you've seen Droids,
I'm right here.
Droids rules. It's so fun. It's so stupid and so bad. It rules.
The
I love
cartoons,
R2 and 3PO.
Look, I have fondness for the Ewoks cartoon and droids, but I don't
They're
think
no bueno.
that I
They're not
rewatch
good.
when they
Yeah,
added
rule.
the
The
Ewok
Boba
TV
Fett,
movies.
the Boba Fett cartoon within the holiday special that looks like heavy metal, that is ostensibly one of the best pieces of Star Wars. To see a full heavy metal
I don't
animated
remember
movie.
them animating any Ewoks in the Boba Fett holiday special clip, though. So I don't understand. how
No,
it could be the
You missed
best.
it. You missed it. Chewbacca was just like 6 inches deep, bent over Ewok. Like how they made an Ewok bend over. It's more just like pivoting on the legs
Yubbing his
forward.
nub.
Yeah, and it, but
Caravan of Courage and
but it was the
Battlefront
original
Whip
Ewok.
Ass. They're
It
great.
wasn't blinking, so it's getting railed by Chewie just with those
Get
big black
outta
eyes. Just
Disgusting. Vile.
What is
These
this
are
energy you're
children's
bringing
films.
to the show?
Yeah.
You're gonna say
Look,
that with a
if I
Bandit
can't-
Healer shirt on your body right now?
fuck yeah! If I can't talk about fucking Ewoks on the Daddio podcast.
Monster.
How's the tour?
But the
going,
other
guys?
thing to go back to, well,
Oh, yeah.
we'll get into that, but I
Yeah,
think
he has to talk about Star Wars for
no,
another 45
I'm-
minutes.
I have to
Oh, no,
close
I'll
all
do
my
that.
tabs. I have.
Bitch,
I mean, we
please.
will, but
You have to close all your tabs. That's really good.
yeah, you. That's my ADHD. Like I think of them now
Mm.
as tabs, and it helps me remember, like on a computer. And
Okay.
so to close
Not
to
just-
come
we
back
knew
around,
what you meant by tabs, but
Not the cola.
not the cola. No, this is what we're talking about. Peaking when you've been peaking.
Oh right.
I still didn't get a straight answer as to whether or not my mic sounds good or
No,
not.
you sound
guys
great,
are
babe.
monsters.
Don't
sound
worry
great.
about it.
You sound so good. Because it's the new one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
but-
quiet when I listened to the Matt King episode. It was real quiet.
Well, because his audio sounded like garbage.
No,
Six
me. I
King,
mean,
P.
No,
King,
not yours. I think Matt King's. Matt King. Matt King was P. King.
Matt King.
Matt King was great.
I think you, Tristan, maybe it gets to an age where your individualism of clothing and you start deciding, like, you know what? If I could take one decision off my plate of underwear that are comfortable, shoes that are comfortable, like
Yeah,
just general
100%.
aesthetic, I think maybe it's an age thing. I don't know.
For sure. And like that was why David Lynch dressed that way. He's like, I don't want to think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I gotta think about
Steve Jobs,
whatever.
same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm whatever, jeans and turtleneck. I'm done.
Yep. Brett Goldstein as well of Ted Lasso fame.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of his podcast, Films to Die With. Is that what it is?
Oh, I didn't know he had a podcast.
Movies
it's
to
a
be
fantastic-
buried with. I believe.
Movies to be buried with. Yeah. His Edgar Wright episodes are
Oh,
fantastic.
fun.
They well, so this weekend, let's play the theme song and then we'll do an early
Is a theme song?
The
every
earliest
week
we've
is a
ever done
different
it.
theme song. This is the earliest
Yeah.
we've done it in a long time. Usually been waiting for the hour mark.
Did you write this?
We started our journey in Minerva, Ohio. Ate some Mexicans, told some jokes, and then we had to go. After the show at the Roxy, we looked all around to see where we could feel good in the neighborhood at the local Applebee's. Applebee's, Applebee's, the Daddios asking please. But when we're on the road and we need a late night tease, we go
apologize. This is a long song.
Left America's best and we made our way to McKees. At the mall we took some pics saying Mexican again with some ease. After they heard the jokes we told at the theater named Parkway, we asked where we could get some grub and this is what they had to say. And I'll never forget to this day. Applebee's, the Daddios asking please. When we're on the road and we need a late night tease, we go straight on to, I'm telling you, straight to the Applebee's. Applebee's,
You can say it.
half off half for you and me.
It keeps going.
Applebee's, Mountain Dew Margarita, I'll have.
I asked facetiously, "Oh, did you write this?" But now I need to know. Did you commission this? What is this?
This is an AI program that I use where, depending on, no, I've never used it for making money off of anything. Having a, so my film that's out right now through Trauma is called Sweetmeats, and it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
horror musical comedy. Those songs, which I've written some musicals, I have basic understanding of chords on a guitar, which I can write songs and demos like that. I generally use an arranger, David Kornfeld, who then arranges those based off of my basic demos. When I started using the Music AI app, I asked a couple of my arrangers and collaborators, I'm like, what do you guys, like actual musicians, think of apps like this?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we know from our experience, you get out of it kind of what you put in, like the song structure, if you put in melody, if you put it in tempo, if you put in style, if you put in instruments, the more information you give, the closer it is to an actual song that sounds like something. They're like, we are fine with someone like you using it and then sending it to us, because then that's a better shorthand. That's a step cut of the demo. And so we are like, yep, we know we don't have to go back and forth and like with reference songs and blah, blah, blah. We get it kind of on the first jump. And me working in a very indie, no budget, no time field, that is a good tool to use. So I've been every week writing a different Daddio theme song
So silly.
for this in a different style.
That's very silly and very good. I have a couple of thoughts. One, Glenn, get on my levels. Yawning on a podcast? Are you fucking kidding me?
Get another cup
Get
of coffee.
bent.
Play
Come
more of the
on.
theme song.
Yeah.
I'll
Number
do it
two.
again.
Number two. Do you think
Eat farts. I'll
Kornfeld-
yawn whenever I want. I'm tired.
Do you think
I'm turd.
Kornfeld was supposed to be cornfield and they just misheard? Like when that name came up, what's the deal? And then thirdly, the only funny
You don't
thing
want an
about
answer
the-
for that second question.
Oh,
Those
no,
out
no,
of
I'm
those
just
for
like,
your
it's just-
own. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
And then the third thing, I'll circle back to the Cornfeld thing, but the only thing this ex of mine said that was funny at all was the plural of Applebee's is Apple's B, like Inspectors General, which I think is quite good.
I love that you said the only funny thing
Yeah.
that my ex said. Like that is such a blanket, like again, an absolute where you're just like, and if she was just like, or whoever was just like, I'm sure I said something else funny, and you're like, no, I kept tabs.
I
kept-
can't recall.
I
Yeah, I had
waited
a list. I thought there'd be more. It was
With
just
bated
the
breath.
Applesby thing.
the week leading up
That's
to
why we're
our
not together
demise of
anymore.
of our relationship. I was giving you one more week to say another funny thing, and you did.
No.
What's the worst you've ever burned? I mean, did you tell the ex that, like, when you were breaking up? Like, you've only ever said one funny thing?
Ricky. No. No, I'm far too diplomatic. And also, I've only broke up with one person. Everyone's always broken up with me, so I never feel at liberty to be like.
Is
"Eh,
it because of
another
your
thing around."
bad Star Wars opinions, you think?
No. 'cause
They're just
don't
like, I don't
have
see this working out
those.
long term.
So
You don't take
an
Ewoks
ex of
seriously enough.
An ex of mine we did break up because it started as a discussion about the Star Wars prequels, and then by the end of it, I was like, I don't know. I think we're just too different. I was like it just spiraled into that, and it just like I was trying to break up with her for like a week or so, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
So you use the you started
Yeah, we
an
like-
argument on purpose. You're like, let me bring up a topic that I know is gonna.
I think maybe I don't know, maybe subconsciously, I don't know. But she was also like, I don't think this is quite working out. You know, but anyhow, what was the question? Have I ever? Oh, what's the worst burn I've ever?
Oh yeah, have you ever
gotten?
burned? I thought if you had told that person. So my ex
Hmm.
before I had met my wife, that I more seriously
Your
dated,
wife.
my wife. Oh, I think I've told it on the podcast.
Yeah, a couple
Opening
of
for-
times.
Opening for Doug Benson, he would
They know.
yell that
Oh,
from the
nice.
back of the
People know.
room. Ugh, I won't tell the whole story again. Don't worry, I won't go down that hole.
Not
But
like Chewie and that Ewok. Ayo.
yep, nup,
Throw you in a saw like this. I hate this.
That is what love
You
sounds
invited
like.
me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you did this.
You
It was a
invited-
surprise. It was the lady that I dated long term before again long term dating and marrying my wife is a sad ending similar to like the prequel story. We went and saw a sing along of Little Shop of Horrors at the Logan's Theater in Chicago for her brother's
Oh.
birthday, and it's a sing along. Words are on
Yeah.
the screen. We're in Chicago.
Sounds fun.
Movie starts. I start singing. She looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're gonna do that the whole night?"
Yeah. God,
And I
that's annoying
shut
as hell.
down, and I was done. I was heartbroken. I'm like, it's a sing along.
That
And so
sucks, dude.
we got back to her place and then had like a 4-hour breakup, like where it stemmed like from that, and like it ended amicably. It like wasn't like a big like barn burner or
Mhm.
anything, but like that was the moment where I was just like, we'd been dating for over a year. I was just like, oh, I don't ever want to feel this way again in a relationship. Like
Yeah.
Valid point, but also that's annoying. It's annoying.
it's a sing along.
I know.
It's a
You're
sing-along.
at a sing along.
Don't go if you don't
Everybody
wanna
else.
sing.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would decline
Yeah.
1,000 out of 1,000 times. I promise you.
Well, that's-
Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies. I stopped going to screenings of it when they just became people badly trying to recite the movie along with the movie.
Mm.
Yeah, it turns out most people, you don't know the movie as well as you think you do. You're just talking over it and getting lines wrong and making
saying
me
it like a couple seconds
want to do a
like
crime.
after sounding like a weird echo.
It's frustrating. I went to a screening of Buckaroo Banzai recently.
What?
It's a film that stars Peter Weller. You might know him as RoboCop. Sorry, I've not brought it up with you
Or
before.
Naked Lunch.
Yeah, that's the thing people know him from.
Yeah.
It's definitely Naked. More people
Cronenberg's
are like
Naked Lunch.
the art professor than the guy from Naked Lunch. The only thing I think anybody tried to quote along with was "No matter where you go, there you are," and it wasn't that frustrating because there were only 15 people in the screen.
Sure.
This is, I think, the third time I saw it in a theater, and I've seen it at a drive-in once. Every time I go see a screening of it, I was like, well, I have to get there really early because it might like sell out, and I'll have to get like a good seat. It's never actually been an issue.
No.
The closest was last summer for the 40th anniversary. Alamo Drafthouse had it in their summer lineup, and I went to see it in Raleigh with my friend Dan. And that you buy tickets, like you have a reserved seat ahead of
Dan
time.
Piss?
Different. No, Dan Urine Boy. So like we had the seats. It wasn't going to sell out or fill up, but I was like, well, I should still probably get there like 2 hours before it starts. And then there's never an issue because I'm the only one who wants to see it, apparently. Although Ricky can attest, after our show in McKees Rocks,
Yeah,
I
that's Parkway.
mentioned Buckaroo Banzai, and a guy went, "Oh, that's my favorite movie," and that's the first time I've
That
ever
it's
met
ever
a stranger
happened,
in
yeah.
the wild that's like, "Oh, that's my favorite movie as well." Sometimes people are like, "Oh, I like that movie," or
a
people
riff,
online have
open
told
up
me
in
that
time,
is their favorite
space.
movie. But anyway, so Ricky, actually, you're fired from the show and rest of the tour, and that guy is my co-host now. So,
happily.
you know,
I could use the time off.
you go
Yeah.
sing your little shop of horror songs or whatever. Spray all the deodorant you want. You're
I'll say
you're
this.
cut. You're cut from the team, kid.
Having seen Revenge of the Sith in theaters recently in New Zealand, where I currently
Is that the
live.
one with Ewoks or no?
Yeah, if you actually, there's a couple, if you like pay attention in the background, this will get Glenn to watch it again. I'm going to trick Glenn, but it was silent the entire time. Like people were
'Cause
just like
it's
watching
boring
the
and bad?
film. Whereas when I went to see The Phantom Menace in New York, admittedly, I was doing the root cause of a lot of this.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Every time a character would show up, there would be an applause break. Like when Panaka goes R2D2, everyone went, "Oh my god!" It was, and then just to be so silent, just stoically watching Revenge of the Sith when it's been memed to death was crazy to me. They're just like, "Oh yeah." Yeah.
Do I
I
have to
think it
start
was-
flying to New Zealand to watch movies? This sounds
I think you should-
incredible.
I think you should.
Oh, I think it was just people were stunned and they forgot how awful of a film it is.
There was
It's
one.
not my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
There was
Of
one
the
chatty
original six.
fella.
It's higher over Attack of the Clones, or is it lower than
Depends
Attack
on,
of
it
the Clones?
really depends on my mood. I don't watch Revenge of the Sith because I also get really sad. It's a sad movie. It's not very fun. Like
Oh,
it's like,
what with all the
fuck-
child murder and all?
Yep, and like the guy, like the whole plot line of it, it just bums me out. I'm like,
Yeah.
what a sad.
You were like a
movie.
brother to me.
Where it's like, say what you will about Attack of the Clones, it's got Jango Fett going pew 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 pew, and I love that.
Oh
My
man,
boy,
have you ever
Timora
seen the
Morrison.
Have you ever seen the Phantom edits?
The
So
Phantom
there's a
edits. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
no.
Phantom edits. There, so it's this commercial director in California. When Phantom Menace came out, he got a VHS and he re-edited it to make it a better movie. And he did it with all earnestness. He's just like, you know what? And he made a commentary to it once it became a DVD. And he's just like, you know, I just did this because I think George Lucas lost his way, but I heard he's taking the criticism that we've all voiced for Phantom Menace, and he's going to make Attack of the Clones better. He's going to make a better movie.
That's
So then Attack of the
funny.
Clones came out, and this dude was just like, fuck George Lucas. He's like, I'm going to re-edit this movie. I'm going to make this thing fucking watchable. And so his commentary is 100% different. He is jaded.
Sure, that
But
makes sense. I
It's
mean,
cool
why
how
would you
normal
believe him?
Star Wars fans are, you know? Like just how
Yeah.
cool and grounded
That's-
and
On my website,
chill
it
they are.
says, I would say I would call myself a Star Wars fan, but I like Star Wars too much. That's always
Yeah.
my my kind
Well,
of MO.
In the Phantom edit of Attack of the Clones, he brings up the Jango Fett, and he's just like, here is George Lucas talking about Boba Fett in the original trilogy, and he plays this audio, and he's just like, yeah, like we don't just create these science fiction things just to look cool and sell toys, which is stupid because he did it with the Ewoks. He's like, everything has a purpose, and it's not I'm not going to create a character just be like, oh, look at my suit. And then like, all right, he's like, here's a clip of George Lucas on the commentary for Attack of the
Yeah.
Clones. He's like, well, Jango Fett, his character really doesn't matter, and this fight scene doesn't really matter between him and Obi-Wan. He's like, I just really wanted to have an excuse to show off his cool suit, because people for years have been asking like, ooh, Boba Fett's suit, what does this do? Is that a rocket pat? Like this. And he's like, so this half an hour scene fucking means nothing.
I will say this every time, and I swear to God, we gotta stop talking about Star Wars and start talking about your tour and my special. But I will derail anything about Star Wars. I will say this: every major thing that people criticize for the prequels, I find, is George trying to give fans what they want.
yeah,
And the
which is
things that are
always a mistake.
successful.
Fans are dumb idiots. Don't give them what they want. They don't know what they want. They're little tiny babies. You just got to make the thing. If they like it, great. If not, I don't know. There's movies with more Ewoks in them out there that you can watch.
Exactly. And I think the things that are most successful is him going, oh, I just like this idea.
Well, I think that he still has the opportunity to do a Jedi movie. Maybe it's a Disney Plus thing that has Liam Neeson and Samuel L. Jackson together doing a little mission, like a little Pulp Fiction like mission as Jedis before Phantom Menace happened. They're still alive. We lost the opportunity to have Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford in a scene together and act together. Do not lose this opportunity to have the most the two most like unsavory Jedis do something that they're not like Mace Windu and Qui-Gon
Right.
Jinn are kind of on the edge
Oh yeah,
of like
for
the
sure. Mace
Jedis.
Windu is definitely more militant and is an
Yes.
asshole.
Yes.
And then Qui-Gon Jinn is like, I don't really care about your rules.
Yeah, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
win that game. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
cheated. What? Because I can. It's not cheating when that's an ability that you have.
That's what I'm going to tell the cops.
Yeah, like,
And
look, I
also
just
my
had.
ex-partner. Like, hey,
Yeah.
if I can pull, I can pull. I don't know what
Yeah,
to tell you.
I shouldn't be cursed. Yeah, it shouldn't be a bad thing societally for me to just do what I can do. I'm not going to repress you and what you can do.
Yeah, go crazy. I think you just invented polyamory? Question mark.
Yep, that's what this face did. As I said, people have commented on TikTok and they're like, "You look like a millennial Dalton Trumbo," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take that."
That is so funny. Splish splash, writing a script.
Yeah, you could do worse.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So wait, what? You have a tour? You have a special coming out?
Yeah, I have a special already out on
Okay.
my YouTube channel called Manic Impressive. It's an hour comedy about. Well, I was rightly put into my place by a friend of mine who commented. It says an hour of comedy about bipolar disorder, but the special is only 48 minutes. Where are my extra 12 minutes at? And I said I will be working on it.
It's Patreon.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll allow it though. You know,
I'll say this as well. When I tour it again, because I'm going to tour the show a little bit further, it'll be more than an hour, so it'll all even out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that counts. I think 48 minutes is close enough.
Yeah, I
to
think
an
45.
hour.
I think because we primarily as like headliners on a 3 comic show, 45 minutes we called. I think that's like, yeah, I'm doing my hour.
round
And it's
up.
just like, okay, it's like a feature
It's
film is anything over like 76 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
I think when I did my first album, I was really up my own butt about like, well, this has to be an hour. Like this has to be at least 60 minutes, or it doesn't count. And then it didn't. It could have
then
been.
you got out of your own butt.
I got crawled out of there. It was too smelly.
Just like Chewbacca out of that.
It was. Yeah, and then I stopped. I think that was the only.
Flashlight? Ugh, I'm so sorry. Get me out of here. Ugh.
I think I stopped.
And it's
thinking
called
about
the
it.
backdoor indoor.
I'm just gonna end this call.
That's no moon.
Go to jail.
Oh, actually, it is. It's a moon.
And
And
I
that's
think
why-
I stopped worrying about how long it was. No, I can't because Ricky's gonna say a gross thing about Chewbacca's dick. If I
No,
say
I
it,
was gonna say
I stopped worrying about how
the
long
single
it is.
panel comic book that they did single page of after the destruction of the second Death Star, that the proximity to that in Endor for it to be a satellite moon would have decimated it. The shrapnel from the explosion of the Death Star. So that means our heroes, they get done partying for 3 days straight, yub nub, and then they leave to save themselves, and all the rebels are like, yay, and then the Ewoks are like, well, back to normal life after that big party celebration. Yeah, and then it's just like asteroids of just shrapnel.
The timing and space of it all doesn't check out at all. Killer.
So
You do.
It
the
doesn't
science.
end good for the Ewoks because
Yeah.
Kylo Ren has Vader's helmet. That's how you know. The blast wouldn't have done it, right? I mean, it would have been like when
Do we
sometimes
con-
satellites fall to Earth, right? You
do
know
we
that happens.
concretely know that Luke doesn't take Vader's burnt helmet and then Kylo takes it from him at the Jedi Temple
No,
when he's being trained?
you don't know, but you're gonna burn your dad and be like, "Oh, let me take your hat real quick." Like that's insane. That's
But I mean, Kylo goes back.
that's
and
lunatic behavior.
But the Ewoks keep it as like a weird, like
no, it's just there.
it's just
it's
left.
just Detroit.
Just 20 years later,
It's
just
just a
in
pile
burnt
of
rubble.
Yeah.
And then
What do you
Ewoks
think the
didn't clean
Ewoks
it
are
out.
gonna do with it?
They're not gonna just leave it there because they don't. That was like a ceremonial like area too. They're gonna move that.
You don't know shit about what goes on.
That's
where
why
in
I
the
think
Ewok
Luke.
village.
I think that's why Luke takes it, and then Kylo takes it from Luke.
No,
But we don't know
And
though
it's
for sure.
almost-
There's no like. in
No, and
Force
if you're like,
Awakens
oh well,
or-
in this novelization, I don't care if it didn't
Oh,
happen in a
no, I
movie.
would
I
not,
don't care. I'm not doing homework, so I can understand why C-3PO's arm is red. Just tell me,
It's,
you dumb
it-
idiot.
It has never been qualified. By
Wear
any
the helmet.
subsequent material. It is
Okay.
a mystery to this day.
Did you just look up
So I'm gonna.
definitively?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Nerd.
Oh, now you're comfy. I like that. So
But-
Yeah, I am.
48 minutes. That's an hour.
48 minutes is an hour.
I like that we all like. I'm pretty sure all three of us are like science. Science matters. Facts matters. That's what's a big problem. What's wrong right now? But we're like 48 minutes is an hour.
Yeah, I mean, what is time? You know.
Keeps on slipping.
It's like if I do a college gig, this has never happened to me, but I've heard it from other comedians where they're like, "Oh yeah, I finished at like 55 minutes, and they made me go back out and do 5 more minutes because the contract says an hour, and the person enforcing the contract is 19 and doesn't understand how anything works." So you'd be like, "Well, right, but that was an hour."
Yeah.
But anywhere else, I don't think it matters.
I don't think so either. I think it was just this shout out to this New Zealand comedian Matt Coombe being funny and rightfully so.
Oh,
He's
yes.
a demand
Yeah,
like
yeah,
an
yeah.
extra 12 minutes.
Although you did also say you do describe it as an hour, which is just, I guess,
Yeah, I
a
know,
straight
that's
up
on me, and I
lie.
shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
Well, it's
so
one of those
you're
things
committing
where-
perjury.
If it's in print, it's libel.
I
but
forget
yeah.
what podcast I was listening to. They were arguing over trying to remember the difference between those two, and I was like, just remember the line from Spider-Man, like everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between
Um,
libel and slander? Just
one's in
all right.
print.
Picture J.K.
Mhm.
Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Slander is
Goodness,
spoken.
libel.
Print. It's libel.
Oh, God, he's so good in that movie. That movie's so
Arguably
good.
in every movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him be bad.
I can't think of a
But yeah.
bad J.K. Simmons. We were talking about Extract, a movie I don't really remember or like, other than
Never
thinking
heard
he
of
was
it.
really funny the way
It's,
he called everyone dinguses.
Mike Judge's his last film that he
I'm on
made.
board.
He only has like 4 films in his filmography. I think he's one of the few people that has like a solid. So like Office Space, Beavis and Butthead Do America, Extract, and Idiocracy.
All four. I'll say this: I've seen 50%. Did
Yeah.
some quick math there, and great.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, and Extract's not like as good as the other 3, but
Yeah, but J.K. Simmons calls everybody dinguses, and I think that's great.
J.K.
What
Simmons,
is
scary from first appearance that I remember seeing him in Oz as the racist.
I thought you were afraid
neo-Nazi.
of the yellow M&M.
No,
I
turns on
am.
the yellow
Why is he so
M&M.
much bigger than the other one?
I'm more afraid of him now that Anna has a peanut allergy. I'm like, get that fucking M&M out of here.
Mm.
We don't need him.
Get on out of here, yellow.
Luckily, she doesn't like chocolate or anything because I think she knows that there's too many things that could also possibly have peanut butter and that chocolate. Which we're at a stage now where the doctors are like, well, you should try again to see if your daughter goes into an anaphylactic shock, like,
Interesting.
and that you have to like pen her. And it's just like, isn't there another way to figure out like if that's still a thing? And they're like, no. Just give her
That's the
a spoonful
system,
of peanut
baby.
butter. Yeah, and just have your EpiPen ready.
Rough.
Rough.
I did come home to. I want to talk more about your 48-minute special. How did it come to be with a title like that? I imagine it's
Yeah,
probably
how
explained in
come?
the special.
Why didn't you do 12 more minutes?
Well, the reason I didn't do 12 more minutes is because I fucked up the timing and I let my good friend Matt Stores go on for too long when he was opening for me. And
Oh, I
that's
don't-
on me.
I don't find that. But Matt Store's going a little long, talking a little more than you think he might.
God.
Come on,
Nah, surely not.
Ricky. I don't
but
think
he
you
did a
know
great
Matt
job.
Stores, but
No, I know the kind of. I've got my own. As soon as you said that, I thought of someone immediately who does the exact same thing.
No, he's
No,
tremendous.
He generally does. Matt generally does his time, like a lot of time. But I just also kind of didn't care. I was
You
like, yeah,
didn't
you
did you light him? Like it didn't get to a
Mhm.
situation you're like, get off the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
stage.
No, no, I-
Stop talking
yeah,
about
I just-
dinosaurs, Matt. Get out of here.
I just literally gave him 15 minutes at the top of the show, which
Yeah.
cut into the hour that we had at Caveat. But I started doing the show in like 2018, late 2018, at this place that's now defunct in New York called Artifix. Craig, gosh, I can't remember his last name. Um, he was trying to start a venue in Woodside, Queens, and he had it going for a little bit. Glenn, you performed there a couple of
Yeah.
times. And it was a nice little place. They had a main stage and a little stage up front, and it was really cool. But we just couldn't get it off the ground. It's now being repurposed, and they use it for like plays and stuff, which is good. And I'm
God.
glad it's still being used.
Boo plays. Boo.
Boo theater.
Um, but they were lucky enough to give me, I was lucky enough to get a residency there, and so for once a month for 6 months or so, I would do the show and workshop it, which in New York is really, really rare to get that kind of opportunity. And then I just started touring it. I went to Minnesota, which is where I'm originally from, and then I was going to do Edinburgh in 2020. Obviously, that did not happen.
Why did
And
something
then-
happen?
Yeah, I got too scared. I was
You got
like,
too
oh, this is
scared.
too much time. Maybe if I do 48 minutes, I might be able to do it.
I'm gonna spend the next 5 years figuring out how to make this 48 minutes.
Can
This
I tell
hour.
you also another reason it's 48 minutes is I fucking forgot some jokes.
Yeah.
I'll be real. I just forgot a few. So
That's the
I'm
curse
gonna-
of this. That's the curse of the special.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, you've sent me various
special
edits
edition.
of it
Mhm.
over the years, and you're like, "What?" I think there's better versions of these jokes now, and I think like I could perform them better. It's like that will never not be true. Like,
Yeah.
you could record this once a week for all time, and I could do it better next. Yeah, you could probably, but at a certain point, you gotta put those 48 minutes out into the world.
You came up on the this trip this past weekend where Glenn and I were talking about the demystification of burning material online.
Yeah.
And so he had mentioned that you guys had talked about how you just don't think that's a truth anymore because you're not, I mean, unless you are the biggest person who has more followers than you even do fans, because
Right.
right, that's the Gaffigan thing, is like all of a sudden all of these followers online started being like, oh my god, I can't believe this is what you're saying, I'm no longer going to go see your show. And he's like, the amount of people that have told me they're no longer going to go see my show, I would not have fans, there would be nobody at the show. So I know all of those people were actually not fans of mine, they were
Right.
just followers on social media. So I think the same idea of like, unless you're fucking huge, the people who are going to come see you aren't generally fans of yours or followers online. So it's
Yeah.
not like they're going to see that. They're going to see all of your minute and a half clips and then be like, oh, I watched 50 of your minute and a half clips, but I've seen your whole hour. I can't possibly go see you live.
And then also like the retention of jokes, when it's this is like, I see a bunch of shit that I think is funny from comics, and it just does. I couldn't tell you a single joke though,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that's true, and I think even if I think there's something to be said as well, where providing someone the opportunity to lean over to the person they've brought to the comedy show and go, this next one's really funny, is really important.
Yeah.
I think people do like hearing the same joke over and over, otherwise they wouldn't listen to albums. And the main proselytizer of burning material is Jerry Seinfeld, who of course has only good opinions and is
Yeah,
a
who
normal
we all
man and fine.
we're all such big fans. I
Podcast
don't complain.
friend,
I don't complain
future
about
guest,
him
Jerry
weekly
Seinfeld.
at all. Yeah.
But he of course has the problem of like he needs to do more material, because people paying hundreds of fucking dollars. Whereas if you pay $15 to see me come through your town, and then you see it again, you go, okay, well, it's still $15. That's
Yeah.
that's
And
meal at
it's
A&W.
insane that Seinfeld is the one who talks about it that way, because he and I were at a festival together, not on the same show. It's just-
Smooching.
yeah, hanging out, being buds.
He
And
asked you how old you were.
My mommy, who famously French kissed Ricky Lore this weekend, she came to the festival. She's so proud of her little boy, and I got her
Jerry
tickets
Seinfeld.
to go see Jerry Seinfeld. Not because she's a big fan, just purely out of like, well, my mom knows he is a very famous comedian, so if I show my mommy that I can get this festival, be like, oh yeah, we'll give you tickets, impress your mom, you know.
Mhm.
He was doing bits from the stand-up clips on the show.
Yeah.
This would have been 2014, I think. And it's like,
Bastard.
man, like, one, the stand-up clips on the show aren't good, so maybe don't do them ever. But
So I will say the one time that I've heard a comedian really stick up for Jerry was Jesselnick. I think it might have been on Marin or a different podcast, said, I went and saw him, Jerry, at a festival that we were both on, and he basically says the same thing. He's doing the greatest hits.
well,
And
that's
he's
what he
like,
says. He's like,
and I
just,
look around, and it's those people that look like your mom who are like, I'm here because I saw him on television.
Yeah.
I don't know his stand-up. I don't
I've
know
heard him
as
talk
a
about it, and he's
comedian.
like, oh, you should do your best hour. Like, it doesn't matter how old the jokes are.
But he knows
Whatever.
He says he knows what the kind of audience is there and who they are and what they want to see. Jesselnick then says 2 days later, Jerry did a set at like Coachella or something, and in front of a much younger audience, more diverse audience, and it was shit he has never heard before. It felt like it was
Yeah.
brand new material. He's like, and it killed. And so he's like, so I realized he thinks I have two different kinds of shows. One where they're the band that's willing to hear the new songs, and then they're the reunion people who've come to see this reunion of this band and just play the greatest hits.
One thing that Jerry said that I think about a lot is
I
like,
know.
oh yeah, we should absolutely date, teenage girl. We should be in a romantic relationship.
And something I think about is something that Anthony Jeselnik said, which is I hate him. No, is that he said this thing that is just so asinine that Glenn, you could attest to this. Like multiple times our trip, Glenn was very gracious and drove me from New York to Minnesota recently.
Yeah, I brought it up. The homies now.
The Daddios now.
And he multiple times over the course of me just yelling into the passenger seat that Anthony Jeselnik said the stupidest thing, which is like, well, it's easier if you're a comic musician or whatever. I'm like, bitch, Can you play the guitar?
Yeah.
Can you play the
Yeah.
piano? It's two hard things at the same time. That does not make it easier.
Correct.
I railed on it might have been the same interview where he was just like it was a comic friend of mine who said
That's really good.
Don't sell merch after your show. It diminishes when you're on stage the experience they just had. And it blew my mind. And he's like, so I started putting up a QR code for people to scan so they can get whatever they want. And the end of the show is the end of their experience with me, and I'm not having to hawk. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. It must be nice being big enough. And he would say, must be nice being more talented. I'm sure, but like, yeah, no one wants to no one at our level that's going and doing the Yuck Hut and whatever Connecticut wants to be like, and I brought this.
No, it's truly my least favorite part of the job.
Yeah,
I don't do it a lot of the time because I hate it so much.
If I could put up a QR code and people were just like, yeah, like,
or if I didn't have to worry about it because I was doing an arena show that I'm getting tens of thousands of dollars for, and not a door deal in the middle of Ohio that 30 people are at. Like, yeah, if a couple people bought CDs this weekend, I would have been in a much better mood, you know?
Glenn and I were talking about this too. There's a weird rise of the arena comic where it's almost like nobody took away from the end of Born Standing Up the right message, where Steve Martin is like, oh, I'm just a party host. Like this, nope, this like, ew, like this immediately seemed gross to him. And I love that he had that realization at that point in the book where he freaked out about the strumming of the guitar. It seems like no comics right now in this era that we're in read that as a warning or as like a thing to not work towards. Everyone else is just like, oh, we can just be a party host
No,
and
I think
sell out
Bargatze's
arenas
got it.
because he's putting a cap on it.
Yeah, Nate Bargatze
You could also just play
started
smaller
another
shows.
tour and then has said like after the next one I'm done because he's but can you like realistically if you
not to live the lifestyle that you are currently living.
no
at that
I just
point.
mean purely logistics. If you're
Oh.
selling out a 20,000 seat hockey arena in Kentucky or wherever,
Yeah.
and then next year you try to come back and you do a 300 seat club, like it's gonna be pandemonium. Like you're gonna make 10,000 people who were gonna see you last year, you're gonna make them fight for 500 spots. What do you do? 40 shows in the same place? Like it's just
crazy.
the planning of it all would be enough. It's the way like billionaires shouldn't exist. Private air travel is an ecological nightmare. But if Taylor Swift goes to an airport to fly commercial, the airport shuts down.
Oh,
like,
you've heard about Chris Hardwick and his heyday having a private jet where every night he would sleep at his home in LA, even while doing like a weekend at a Funny Bone in Cleveland.
no, but that's yucky.
What a cool and normal guy.
Yeah. You got to be ground like that's some
There
real,
was
like,
I forget which musician. Somebody was like
Pete
criticizing them. It was like I think like probably not Pete Seeger, but like not far off from the actual answer.
Oh.
like Neil Young. Like, is that a not
Bob
far off
Dylan.
from Pete Seeger?
But
Yeah.
somebody was like pushing back
We'll
on them,
get
like
there.
having a jet,
Petty.
and they're like, "Well, if I have a show one night in Boston and then the next night in LA, how else does this work than if I
Yeah.
own a like?" But so again, not like like I'm willing to give famous musicians a pass, but it's like at a certain point, it just becomes untenable to do things a certain way. Like
Absolutely.
I can go to the store, like in my town where I live, and I will get recognized by people who I went to high school with a lot more than people are like, "Are you famous comedian Glenn Tickle?" Like it's not an issue. But then if you're, I'm trying to think of like, if you're Peter Weller, right? And you try to go to the store, people are like RoboCop. Like God, he gets so mad at people asking him questions about RoboCop. He's like, it was 40 years ago. I've answered all the RoboCop questions. It's all out there. Go look at it. I don't know what else you want to hear about
What
RoboCop.
was the suit like?
It's heavy.
How much did it smell like your piss?
How much
How
did
many
Robo
Oreos?
want an Oreo?
Yeah,
Quite a bit.
Thank you.
Would you buy that for $1?
You know what's crazy about who is it that you were talking about with the arena that he's like trying to not do
Bargatze?
it?
Nate Bargatze. He's got one more tour that he's just kicking off, and then he's like, next one, and then
He's trying to
then I'm out.
Seinfeld it. He's trying to call
Hey,
his
you know
shot.
what's
He's trying to Babe Ruth it.
What do you mean
What's crazy about
Seinfeld it?
that
He's
is
not
I
dating
Like
a
think I
teenager.
end on top, like the TV
Seinfeld
show,
is
but
still doing
You
show.
mean Steve
his
Martin?
TV show. No. I'm saying his
Oh.
TV show. How he put an
okay.
end to something that he could have, done at least another 5 years and made.
Oh yeah, it
wheelbarrows
was
of cash.
so humble of him to only do 9 years of a television show.
I
What
think
a-
it's humble
here's
of
the
Nate
thing about Nate
Bargatze to
Bargatze.
call his
Magnanimous,
shot and be like, I'm only going to do 2 more years of stand-up, and
Which
it's all going to be the
admittedly
biggest fucking
is like,
arenas.
you're
It's
gonna
the
sell 'em
farewell
out
tour.
if you tell
Cher
people-
and Elton John. Yeah, this is it. Limited time offer.
And I don't
Like,
think
come
he's
back.
never going to do stand up again. I think he just means like touring at the level that he is touring now.
And what's wild about that is, with respect to Mr. Bargatze, don't know who the fuck that guy is, and he's selling out stadiums, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
There's so many like I will hit an Instagram account and I'd be like, this person has 2 million followers and I've never heard of this person.
Yeah.
The internet actually doesn't matter, and or like there's so many pockets that like it's just completely different than
It's why like
it used to be.
clubs using follower count as a metric
Mhm.
for who to book
Mhm.
is insane. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because those 2 million people don't live in Cleveland, but they're not coming to the show. Like, I don't know what to
True.
tell you. Sure, there might be 50 of them that do, but internet's everywhere. A lot of it's honestly bot accounts. It's people who died. It's people who have multiple accounts. It's an insane thing to try to.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe. If she, I'm sure she has an official Instagram or Twitter account.
Yeah,
I'm
book
sure
her.
has crazy million amount of followers to my like 25,000.
And I would also say this, like going back to the burning material thing, is like it also like allows people who are not near you at all to see your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting a
Yeah.
special out there, I'm like, oh, cool. A bunch of people like, because I'm probably not gonna. I might tour it to New Zealand or whatever, but like people all around can now see it and then know
Correct.
who I am and or like it just helps everything. And I think as well, if people are
Yeah, you
feeling
didn't have to go to their local comedy, their shitty comedy club, where they weren't
Mhm.
going to go to anyway because they don't want to do that. But like, you can use to your advantage of as hard as it is getting eyes and ears on things. But if it's from the comfort of their own home and you can somehow get it across, with it being about mental health, about my guess is your recognition and growth as a person, as a kid. Like what is the basic narrative
No,
of the
it's
is
all
there
about how I've been right from the beginning, and all you motherfuckers are dumb as shit.
My favorite kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Well,
just the
I know I've talked
abrasive.
about it on the show, and
Yeah.
I think I've talked about it with you, Tristan, on our trip. But that's who I'm performing for, is like the at-home audience that I will be recording and releasing this for later. And like for better or worse, like I don't think that's necessarily the way I should be doing it. But as a kid who grew up in like a rural part of New Jersey, we didn't have a local comedy club. I didn't have a ton of money, so I'm not going in the city constantly. I didn't see live comedy until like college, I don't think. And it was really albums and watching it on TV. So then when I started doing it, the goal was always, oh, I'm gonna make and release albums and then later specials and stuff so that people can hear it. Like I like doing live stand-up comedy. It's fun and I like performing for the people in the room, but like the ultimate goal is I am working on the next hour that I will be recording and releasing as 48 minutes and trying to get away with it.
You know, baby.
And not just trying, but doing it.
Getting
Doing
away
it
with
now a
it.
couple of times.
But yeah, to answer your question, Ricky, it's about mental health and like I got a diagnosis of bipolar
Answer your question
disorder.
from 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's I got a diagnosis of bipolar disorder in 2016, and that's when I started doing stand up because I was like, well, the easiest way to make this communicative, to communicate this is to put people at ease. The easiest way to do that is to make them laugh. And how can I make this funny? And so it's less scary for myself. And then also, how can I because I'd done a little bit of stand up before, but it was all like jokes about farts and Star Wars. And I'm like, I'm not saying anything. I mean, like, it's fun, but like, what am I doing here?
So like a proto podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Can I tell you briefly? I'll talk more about the special in a second. The first couple times I did stand up, there was a cabaret night at this local theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which gave you a 15-minute slot.
Wow.
Shouldn't do that.
No, they should for your first go at stand up. I'd done
Yeah.
one open mic in Brooklyn. It went terribly. And then I said, I'm not going to do that again. And then I was like, I'll have another go.
But I will for
And
15 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, my main thing was like, I think I didn't have enough time to build a rapport with the audience because I'm doing some pretty like abstract stuff. And the answer was correct. It fucking killed. And I was like, okay, great. Let me just do this 4 more times.
But even
So
the
I'm
perception of the audience, it's kind of like the difference between saying I'm going to go up and do improv versus I'm going to go up and do stand up, or I'm going to go up and do a one person show, which when you were talking about that before, Glenn, just to throw that out there, that is, regardless what you think of who he is as a person now with Mike Birbiglia, because now with podcasting and stuff, we know too much about people and personally because they're
That's true.
getting paid to yammer,
Yeah.
to content create. I do respect, not that he could have ever been an arena guy. I do like that he pivoted to do
what is
what he kind of
Broadway if
wanted to
not
do. Yeah.
arena for nerds?
Yeah. but it's still a contained, like those New
Mhm.
York theaters.
Yeah.
It's such a smaller and a different kind of audience. I don't know. Maybe that's my opinion of
I
just
mean,
like what
that's
I'm more comfortable with, of like, oh yeah, turn it more into art, or
Yeah,
and
sure. for
again,
sure.
that's the audience I'm aiming at.
yeah.
Is the people as much as so we talked about how for your benefit, Tristan, I have hated Jerry Seinfeld for a long time because he has been a out of touch rich maniac for
Yeah.
as long as I've been aware of him.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, the guy from the show that I like. Wow, what's he? Oh, all right. And but now with podcasting, you can watch that happen to people in real time, where it
Yes.
is like
Yes.
they hit a certain level
100%.
of success, and then the things they say into a microphone just get more and more unhinged. And
100%.
so I used Birbiglia and Pete Holmes as examples of just like guys whose work I've been following for a very long time, starting from a very positive place of like, these guys are great. I really like what they're doing. And then now the more that like I listen to their podcasts, like my interest in them is kind of waning because it's like,
Well, but
oh,
another thing
you're
that
in.
happens that we don't mention is they are both. I think a
Well,
lot
so
of
I got to keep
comedians
going
are.
because I just ended on saying urine, and I just want to be clear that I was saying you
Yeah,
are in,
piss.
not piss. Where it's like, oh, you're not that like, oh, you're so much more successful than me. I can't like handle it. It's just like
Oh,
we're not talking about the same job anymore. You know, like
yeah, for sure.
But those two comedians, the one thing we don't
also
mention
piss. Go ahead.
is they are, and I think a lot of comedians are chameleons, or we're all trying to find our voice when we're starting off. And those two guys, even when they started popping, they were both known for kind of sounding like a group of other comedians that were more famous. You know, Birbiglia toured with Hedgeberg, and so
Yeah,
he
Miles
sounded
I
like
would
Hedgeberg,
not
Mitch.
have made that
everyone's
connection.
best friend,
He
Miles Hedgeberg.
he had. I mean, you watch Birbiglia's early stuff.
Yeah,
It
he
is
talks
one
about it a lot.
liner.
Like his first album is
Yeah.
pretty.
And he
Guy trying to
hated
be
that
Mitch
people
Hedberg.
connected him to Dimitri Martin, right? Which was the hipster, like hacky
Yeah.
sack Mitch Hedberg, or I mean Hedberg is hacky sack as well, but a different soccer guy is playing hacky sack.
I would say Dimitri Martin's like Silicon Valley. Mitch
Yes,
Hedberg.
that's a and then but they're all Stephen Wright, and Stephen Wright, I'm sure, is someone else.
If
But
the
with
school from Real
Groucho
Genius had an open mic night, that's Dimitri Martin's
that's
act.
Dimitri Martin, with more easels and drawings to display
Now,
his TED talk.
Did you say what did you say? Real genius? What is that?
The Val
Because
Kilmer
I
movie?
Zuckerberg
see now
brother,
what I
yeah,
heard was Genius Bar, which I think
also
is maybe
works.
more apt.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of he has a lot of good qualifiers. But
I like
so,
Dimitri Martin a
Dimitri
lot.
is great, yeah.
I
But those
kind
two
of love that he
guys-
doesn't do a weekly podcast where he says
yes.
the most insane shit every time. I mean, granted, I am saying this now on a weekly podcast where I say the most insane shit I think
So-
I can get
Yeah,
away
but
with.
So
You're-
what
yeah.
are so what did Pete Holmes, so is that part of the dislike? But even though I do respect that Birbiglia is pivoting to the one-man show, more theatrical, but is it because they found they're really good at marketing themselves and playing a part? Because where Dimitri Martin, I think we've watched, yeah, he's grown up, but his shtick, or who he is, or his persona kind of hasn't changed. Where Pete Holmes and Birbiglia, I think they are
Wildly
vast,
different. Yes,
wildly
yes.
different, and I think knowing that that's what makes them money.
And I mean,
not
people
saying they're-
change over time.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that in and of itself is a indicator that you're getting worse. But
I think conversely, I disagree that they've changed a lot. Because if you listen to like Pete Holmes was going to be like a preacher for a minute, and you can hear that in every fucking thing he's doing.
Mhm.
He's the cadence of someone giving a sermon, and his spiritual side that he's keep hawking whatever natural thing that makes you
Mhm.
more energetic, or that'll probably have some sort of adverse side effect. And then like Birbiglia started in theater and improv, so he's just going back to who he was.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well,
he
that's
just has
the-
level of success to
He's
do
always
that.
had a writer quality about him,
maybe
being-
6 months ago there was the thing.
I love
online
Don't
of-
Think Twice. I like both of his feature films that he's done. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to
They're
see
good. I like them.
what he does.
Yeah.
Again, he's grown as an artist where I'm not. I don't think he's being inauthentic. So that's why
Are you in a nuclear explosion? Do you need to get to a
Sorry.
shelter?
Who,
Your
me
camera
or
just got really blown out.
Oh,
Ricky.
Oh, no.
might have been.
And it looked,
Me?
yeah. Oh, no.
Ricky,
Yeah.
it's been doing that for
A second
while.
strike.
Yes, it's done it a few times. A second strike, he's going down.
I
But
also
yeah,
wanna
so
say-
but
Mhm,
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
Pete Holmes, yes, but for me, and the reason why I don't like him is I haven't seen a shift in a pivot of. I think he's changed, but I think he's become his own god that he's falsely worshipped when he left the church. So I think he thought women were God and that marriage that, is the whole impetus for crashing and him going up to New York City. I think he is now up his own butt and is such a guru, and he's so extreme one way and then he's not. Like Glenn and I were talking about this last episode. He infuriates me because he's sad puppy, but he does not listen on his podcast. It is fucking Pete Holmes is going to proselytize in front
Oh
of
God,
you.
can you imagine
2 hours.
what it might be like to host a podcast with somebody like that? Probably really frustrating.
So I moved back to New York with about 30 minutes of usable material because I did 4 15-minute sets, and that's not how that should be done. I
No.
wanted to just finish that story. That
Yeah,
was like
go ahead.
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It gave me a false sense of confidence. It was like not good. But yeah, so then from there I just started developing the material and then toured it around to 2021 and then recorded it as a special at the end of 2021 and then went, this isn't up to my standards, which, is what it is. And it had nothing to do with the technical aspect. It was also like me trying to hold on to it and hope, like, because when you record a special or like you have that notion, you're thinking of like Comedy Central, generally speaking. And a friend of mine down here, a very lovely and funny comedian named Stephen Lyons, he kind of took me aside. He's like, you should just not worry about it because you're not competing with Mulaney. It's going to be something you chuck up on YouTube and see how it does.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the thing that you like fully have it in your head for this one. And it's just like, yeah, that is what it is. So I'm just glad to have it out and done it enough that I feel good. And also it's gotten heaps better. And the one in 2021 had a bunch of also material that was like about the pandemic, which is fine because it's a major global event, but like people are not receptive to that material at all anymore.
I had comments. World
Mhm.
Crime League came out in 2023, and people were like, "Why are you still talking about the pandemic?" It was like the one that's still happening. That one, the
Yeah.
one that's on. You mean the one that's ongoing? Yeah, that's. Or do you mean the one that like literally changed how I had to do my job for the 2 to 3 years that it took between the last thing I recorded and this? It would be insane to not mention it. What are you talking about? And it's like I have the one joke on there that mentions doing virtual shows and like having to do, Zoom comedy from a shed in my yard. And it's like, well, yeah, like it's not, oh God, masks are weird, right? It's like, no, this is like the very specific and personal way that this affected how I have to do my job. Also, that joke kicks ass. What are you talking about?
Also, we are adults and we had children. And so normalcy to us and then to like how we tried to explain what was going on when it's the only time it had happened to us, but we are old enough to know that like, oh, things like this happen, but we're not sure, like the uncertainty of everything, while then also having tiny little people just to be like, oh, you can't freak out in front of them. Like you have to make sure they feel safe and try to understand as much as it can. Like that we're dealing with the after effects of that right now with Anna, of just being like, oh, that's right. For a good 2 years, you and mommy were like sewn at each other's hip.
Yeah.
So you might have a little bit of separation anxiety.
Yeah. Anna's, I think, what, a year younger than Olivia? My youngest?
Yeah,
she's about to turn 7.
Yeah, she's about to turn 6 next week.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the same thing. It's like, oh, right. For a lot of your very early life, we were the only people you were encountering.
Mhm.
So when she started preschool, it's like
As a
she
homeschooler, I cannot relate.
she had a
constantly
really hard
been a
time
pandemic.
with preschool in just like the social aspects in a way that it's like, okay, well, maybe like she was 3 when we put her in because that's when her sister started preschool. And then genuinely part of me was like, you know what? Maybe you're not you're just not ready yet. Maybe we'll try again next year. But it's like, you got to meet other people. Like you have to, or like you're going to grow up and be Tristan Miller if you don't get out in the world.
Wait, homeschooled
two separate flip-offs from like co-hosting guests.
Yeah. And who's the common denominator? Glenn motherfucking Tickle. You took off your hat, Tristan, and all I thought of was
how much better his hair is than ours.
Drop Dead Fred. Like the red popped and like your jacket, it just. Are you familiar with Drop Dead Fred?
I think you would. Thing.
I think you would love it. Check it out.
Yeah, you should actually look it up.
Yeah, but
it doesn't have any Ewoks in it, but it's
100% no. But 100% Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
I don't know who Phoebe Cates is.
God, you're not that. I was gonna say, you're not that much younger. I mean, you are. You're a full decade younger than me, but
I'm a full decade younger, and also, as I mentioned briefly, I was homeschooled, so my cultural
your whole school, like whole schooling, like
up until
through senior year. Oh, you went to high school. Okay.
I went to, which is of course the perfect time to introduce your child to like a lot of kids all at once, is when they're seeing a pair of tits that wasn't attached to a sister was like
might be good getting some input on your next film there, Ricky.
Yeah,
for sure.
The next film is about the final surviving member of a religious death cult being integrated into the final month of a senior year of high school, and putting every single 80s movie into 1 month of high school.
That's funny. That's a good premise.
I hope. I hope it's not too. I hope it's not too narrow of a. Like, I hope how we do it ends up being entertaining. But yes. So
yeah.
Did you make friends? Did you have any interest that you brought?
Enemies.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I went to school the whole time and also made enemies.
Yeah.
No, I made a few friends. Luckily, there was a couple of kids that were in. I had a couple of people that were in the same classes with me, and they took a shine to me, and that was nice. But this also was happening around the same time I started doing community theater, so I really was making friends doing that. And then there's a homeschool theater group as well, mostly monologues. There's a homeschool theater group that I was also a part of. And that helped a little, like here and here. There was a really large homeschool community in Rochester, Minnesota for some reason. And so like I had been socialized. Like we did this thing called co-op, which is when someone else's mom teaches you for a little bit. And I was like, well, why do they get to? It's like, well, they have a degree in the subject. I'm like, we're so close, guys. We're so close to just like, if only this was for free, like for fuck's sake.
If only this were in a bigger room and there were more of us. So was it religiously
that was
influenced?
A huge factor,
okay.
But also my parents don't trust the U.S. government, as they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Why did something happen?
No, it's always been this way, actually.
That's the most honest thing that's been said on the internet. It's just always been this way. Like I feel like that Talking Heads song has same as it ever was, same as it ever was, same as it like.
It's his birthday today.
Is it David Byrne's birthday? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. I hope I didn't kill him by saying that. I have a history of saying things on this podcast.
You take another one from me, Glor, I swear.
It happened with David Lynch, and then it happened with the airplanes. One after the other.
I saw a very good post, which is happy birthday to the inventor of autism, David Byrne. It's very good.
Yeah, it is. I've always kind of liked the Talking Heads. I have gotten way more into Talking Heads in the past 6 months to a year, which is I've also mostly spent thinking like, I think I'm autistic actually. And it's like, man, the way this guy wiggles around on stage is incredible.
Yeah,
I had the exact same
what experience. Music you're into says a lot about the way that you approach things socially.
Yeah, well, I genuinely don't listen to a ton of music. It is mostly like my favorite band is Harvey Danger. If I want to listen to music, I will put on Harvey Danger, or I've been actively trying to listen to like more old jazz and bebop stuff and learn about that, because it's like I like it when this is on. I know nothing about it. Like I want to understand. Like I know I like bebop more than other kinds of jazz. I could not define that for you, but I know if I'm putting on a playlist of like bebop or other type of jazz, I will probably like the bebop one more. Why? Couldn't tell you.
Remember
But
when Garrison Keillor was accused of sexual harassment?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
crazy?
Yes.
I do, because somebody
I just-
like a week ago was like, "Man, I don't know why a Prairie Home Companion is not the thing that it used to be." It's like, "Oh, I can tell you exactly why it's not."
Exactly.
Do you know comedian Erica Rhodes, Tristan?
No. I
So
don't.
she grew up doing Prairie Home Companion.
Yeah.
Oh no, I do. Yeah, that name sounds very familiar.
She's very Maria Bamford,
Mm-hmm.
millennial Maria Bamford.
Fucking
Yeah.
Minnesota, baby.
Yeah.
They're all from there. But yeah, the reason I thought about that is Bebop or Rhubarb Pie. I'm so
Okay.
sorry, Glenn.
I was wondering why you brought it up.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
like-
have a similar with the talking head thing. So I don't know if you guys are watching The Rehearsal, the Nathan Fielder show.
I think that man is evil. I do not support his work.
So
What's the a quick justification for that feeling? I told you my people.
oh, probably all the evil stuff that he's done. Like you're not. I mean, you're not. I can't be like, oh no, he's never done anything questionable.
But is
clearly.
there anything
Because
besides
he
his
filmed
like?
it.
Okay, besides his like Johnny Knoxville, like candid cameraness,
No,
is
no.
there something else that's like I am
No,
unaware
he's
of,
done-
like
No,
Seinfeld?
he's never done anything problematic other than his entire career.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
is
Right. It is
So, but I'm
just
saying
like
that is okay.
some of the stuff. Right. It's not. He didn't date a teenager in his 30s. That I know of. I don't know him personally or what he's got going on, but
There's nothing about that vibe that I connect with. The closest thing was that limited series he did with Emma Stone.
that's the only thing he's done that I'm like, I cannot
That's the only thing
follow
I
you down
like.
this road.
I looked
This
at
is-
it and I was just like, okay, maybe because this isn't the gotcha or the wacky like, oh, and there's a free TV on the other side of this room, but there's badgers or alligators and
Yeah,
He's just trying to do Saw.
yeah,
a bit. Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
acceptable
And
saw.
so, like,
I see.
with Nathan For You, some of it is genuinely like, I don't know if I like this particular one. But with The Rehearsal, they're in the second season now. The first season, it's like, oh, this is actually making me a little bit uncomfortable. He's like being really weird and kind of mean to this lady. But then I forget what about her I found so unpleasant. It's like, I'm actually kind of glad that bad stuff is happening to you.
No, the lady was definitely off, but the thing with the kid really fucked
That
with me.
yeah, and they
that's
mentioned
not
it
okay.
in the most recent episode of season 2. He's like, oh yeah, we kind of decided we weren't going to do anything with any kids this time around because of some of the feedback from the last one. And it's like,
Good.
yeah, and the person he's talking to in the episode makes the point. She's like, I think like you handled those children very well. I'm like, right, but the thing that you were doing and the way you were using those children is debatable. But
Diabolical.
whether you like it or not. So the episode, the season, the current season is Nathan Fielder has been long obsessed with commercial airline crashes and is trying to like improve the safety of airline travel. And he is doing this in the most insane way possible, but is still genuine. Like that is the genuine goal that he's working towards. And in the last
And he's
episode,
looking like Sully, right? He makes himself up to
yeah. There's
Sully
a Sully
Sullenberg,
episode.
yeah.
But in the last episode,
or just
he is they like I forget how he comes across it, but like he looks something up about the show, and then he finds like a message board where everyone is talking about how like they're like, oh, as an autistic person, I really relate to The Rehearsal and like the way that Nathan is doing everything. And he's like, huh. And then he goes and talks to a woman at like an autism clinic,
Yeah.
and she like walks him through one of the tests, and he's like, oh, it's like he's doing a bad job at the test because it's the thing where you have to like you just look at a pair of eyes and you have to click one of 4 options for how those eyes are feeling. And he's like, oh, so like if somebody had a hard time doing this, like that would probably be like a pretty clear indicator of autism. And she's like, yeah, so which one do you think these eyes are? Is it like, are they joyful? Are they? He's like, oh, so like this is the kind of thing where if somebody couldn't do it, like hypothetically, that would maybe. And he just keeps not wanting to answer, and like he gets them all wrong. But the thing where he's like, oh yeah, autistic people really like this show. So it's the same thing of like with getting very into talking heads for the last year or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I do kind of really like this show. And I had done a bunch of other autism assessments, but not the eyes one. So I looked it up. And I think it's 36 pairs of eyes you have to select how they're feeling.
It's
I
too
got
many
20
pairs of eyes.
I got 29 of them correct. But at the end, they're like, how did you decide how they were feeling? And I had to answer, oh, it's because I took art and animation classes where I learned how to draw human expressions. And it's not like,
Oh, I
it's-
know those expressions.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
human expressions.
yeah, it's just
Expressions
like-
of people that have when they have feelings.
Yeah.
Those feelings.
It's just like, no, I remember how to do the angry eyebrows, right? Like, like yeah.
And I know that the
Mr.
word
Potato
is
Head.
angry that is attributed to that. That is the feeling. That is the emotion. I selected it. Was I correct, Papa? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of folks about like how if you're like socially uncomfortable in any way, like obviously like acting appeals to you, but particularly if you have autism where you're like, okay, here's a structure. I know how to behave. I know what the reactions are. Like it's like a kind of safe environment to like then learn. And another way I was thinking about it is like in drama school, you essentially are learning how people behave, you know, and so you're like, oh, this body language means this and that. And it is
Yeah.
like helpful if you're like, for example, if perhaps you were homeschooled and under socialized because of it. Also, when I think 50% of your the people you're interacting with in the home probably have autism, you know, it also like adds an interesting layer for me of like, okay, because like I know I don't have it because I have been tested, but I have something else going on, which is what the special is about.
Yeah.
that is a good segue. Is
Yeah.
there? Did you have any like sexual identification for self when you're joining high school? Was there anything like you're like, oh, and people are dating, but like I'm starting
Oh, I
off at a
see.
base level of like friendship and just interacting with other people. Did your hormones and just how you were
How
feeling?
horny were you as a teen? I think is
Well,
what
but I mean,
Ricky's
that's-
trying to ask.
But we all were, and like, and so like shit.
Seinfeld to Seinfeld's girlfriend.
Well, look,
Can I tell you my Seinfeld joke?
y-
Which is
yeah,
imagine dating that man. It's got to be so difficult. You have to fit it between first period and AP bio. Ugh, what a headache. But yeah, no, it was really weird. I dated the same gal throughout high school up until senior year. And I think a lot of it is because I was like, I'm just trying to lock something in here. You know, I
yeah.
don't
You
want
met her
anything.
freshman, and then you were like,
Even before.
look, I
we
don't
were
want to
friends
deal with.
before,
Yeah,
And then we started dating.
Yeah, I mean, I basically did that with my wife. Like, we met in 7th grade, and we're friends, and then in high school, we're like, we don't super like most other people. You just want to,
Yeah.
we like being
It's
alone with each other.
Yeah, and then I could never
Still true.
hack being a slut, even when I'm single. In as much as I'm like, I don't want to bother anyone. It's not that I'm not horny, and I don't think we'd have a good time, but it's also like I don't want to bother anyone. You know,
yeah.
like,
I don't want to be an
you're-
inconvenience to dead
Yeah.
ass.
to that ass. Yeah.
Was
But,
it because honestly, post nut clarity? Like, it doesn't take that long to not be in this headspace anymore. Like, I don't want to bother anyone because I can take care of this myself. And then,
honestly, whenever I'm thinking about hooking up with, this is deeply personal. Whenever I'm thinking about hooking up with,
good thing
someone,
we're
I like-
broadcasting it to hundreds
Mhm.
and hundreds of people divided by 2.
You know, I rub one out quick. So I'm like, do I actually find this person attractive, or am I just horned up? Am I just
Yeah.
Tex Avery, you know, a wooga
Yeah.
wooga, or do I actually have any interest? And you know, obviously, this is too, you know, when you're on like the apps or whatever, not when you're like at the restaurant. I don't excuse myself from the Applebee's. and go,
Once the
"Excuse
bloomin'
me."
onion arrives at the table, like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna need a minute.
Yeah.
Fuck!
I will take some of this bloomin'
I
onion
never
sauce
saw
with me
the
for no reason.
blooming. I never saw the petals in such a light until I was in that headspace, and that just got dropped off of the table, and I just created my own spicy sauce. I need to go to the bathroom.
I think we've
need to-
piqued Mike's interest with horny bloomin' onion talk.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Mike,
hard at the moment.
future
Yeah.
guest, I believe Mike Flincham, unless it's a different Mike.
Very common first name.
Yeah, could be.
This could be anybody.
Possible.
Could be
future
Mike
guest,
Nelson
Flincham.
from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Probably not, but it could be.
Probably not. Even though his wife Bridget, when we were
His
doing
wife.
His wife, not my wife. His wife.
Can I give you a quick character? This
Yeah.
is non-committal Borat. This my person I've been seeing a little bit, but we're not sure.
I have not etched her name into tree yet, so we'll see from there.
Why are you doing
I don't
Nordic
like the-
voice?
Listen, it got away from me. It's
I'm gonna
okay.
be Nordic. I'm gonna be Nordic Borat. That's the look
Nordak.
I'm Nordak.
Olaf from Frozen. Or
Nordak. Is that
Sven?
is Nordak already a thing? Yes.
Who's the shopkeeper in Frozen, Ricky? I'm assuming
Hello,
Ricky will
family.
know.
I don't
and
know his
Tristan won't
name.
because of
Yes,
I've
Frozen.
seen that
young
movie
daughter.
once.
Oh, you know what it is?
Oaken.
Gosh, Chasen.
Don't
Chasing
worry, everyone. I
Rabbits.
remembered. It's Oaken.
Shrek 4,
Oaken
which
Beasley.
my kids are the boys, the 17-month-old twins are fascinated with the Shrek movies, and the only one streaming right now, even though
Good
I have Shrek
taste.
1 and 2 on DVD, is Shrek 4, which I
Good
didn't
taste.
see when it first came out. But there's this running gag at the beginning. Shrek feels cucked, and he feels like he is an ogre. He isn't ogre-y enough anymore. That's the monotony of life of day in and day out being the same thing. I feel like I'm being cooked over here, donkey.
That's pretty good.
But we just do fat bastard, and that's close
I mean,
enough.
yeah, and you could also it's the same as his dad.
Head, pants, no.
Exactly.
Looks
yeah.
like an orange on
Whoa,
toothpick. It's
man.
huge. I'm not kidding. Oh, I love so. That's my wife and I's first movie we ever watched together.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's a really good one.
But there's this running joke where, like I said, he's been emasculated as an ogre, but there's this little kid and his dad that are at Shrek's kid's birthday party, and little kid keeps on coming up to him, and he's like, "Do the roar," and he's like, "No, I don't really do it. Do the roar," and like he just keeps on saying that. He's like, "Come on, Dad, he's not doing the roar," and it's just they keep doing it. They don't add anything to it. It's just this little kid looking like a page boy going, "Do the roar." And it, like, I was dying. My wife's like, "Are you high?" I'm like, "No, this is just such clean, gentle, dumb. Like, it's the sound of his voice. It's the look of this little package going, "Do the roar." Like, just the same way over and over again. So kudos to Shrek 4. Yeah, post nut clarity.
Yeah.
I think that's a mature thing, but it also might be autism induced of just like, ugh, and then I have to socialize with someone else. I could just crank this out and save everybody the heartache. And
No, I don't think it's that. It's mostly just like I want to make sure that I'm not making a mistake, and then also like because you just don't want to you do something you regret. I think it's that, and then also like
talking to another person. I almost always regret it when I was like,
here is the thing. I'm a very social person. I like meeting new people, and I think it's so fun and good. And I'm
hard to think of
interested.
anything worse, honestly.
And yet you're doing it now, and you're being so brave.
I know you
Talking
both
to
and
another-
have
I
for
know,
quite
but
some time.
talking-
Yeah, but I
How
know
do
you.
people? I love to stick out my hand and go, "Hey, hi, I'm Tristan."
Last week we had Matt King on the show, and neither
King.
Ricky or I knew Matt before the show, and I was like genuinely nervous. And same, Ricky's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be like 20 minutes late or whatever." So
that's not what I said. I gotta go poop.
yeah, I was trying to give you an out, but he was dumping out.
My
He
out
was-
was my
20
dump.
minutes?
He was.
I didn't dump for 20
He was
minutes.
rocking out hard. But I'm just like
My
sitting there
shit comes quick.
making small talk with new friend Matt King. And granted, Matt King's great. I want to be clear, but he might not have been. He might have been like by the time Ricky got on the call, I might have been like, "Oh, hey, actually, nah, bud." And then I just boot that guy from the call, and then we have to book somebody else to open for us in Ohio. And like, oh, that would have been weird. But
we did have to boot him. So Glenn, this just shows the character of Glenn, which I think this is a nice story. I don't think this is.
Oh,
you
don't
being
tell it then. Don't ruin the allure.
the veneer.
People need to know what a hard ass I am.
We had so low of tickets for our Saturday show on Friday night. The guy who Chris who booked the Friday night show and then the theater show on Saturday, McKees Rock. He's like, "Yeah, there's only this amount of tickets and blah blah blah. Do we want to cancel?" And Glenn and I were like, "Well, we have a Emmaus in Pennsylvania on Sunday, so we might as well do a show also in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Let's just keep it but we were
Buy
like,
the ticket, take the ride, baby. We'll do it, you know?
yeah, and like we're gonna be there. We'd rather do a show than not do a show. It turns out the theater was only like a 45 person.
Tristan, we had 12 tickets sold the night before. And I'm like, it's gonna feel bad when we get to like a 200-seat theater and there's 12 people in there. Sure, like there's probably gonna be some walk-ups, you know.
Yeah.
My friend Patrick will probably buy a ticket last minute, for example. But then we get there, it's a 43-seat theater, and 4 of the seats are chairs on the stage that they were using for Q&A. And it's like, that's plenty. What are you talking about?
Yeah, ended up being about 20 people and feeling great.
Yeah, and like
good
a
show.
bunch of people who had tickets but didn't come. So we had like 25 of 43. So it's like, this is great. Why would you should have canceled the one that we did with 30 people in the 200-seat theater? That's the one
before,
when you're like,
Matt King
hey,
on it.
If you want to not drive all the way to Ohio.
But that means we didn't take the lodging that we were going to have to save money on that. Chris didn't come, so he didn't have to work the door. We were like, we'll work the door ourselves. But that also meant Matt King, who was supposed to open, we're like, we don't need you. We're just not going to use an opener.
Yeah,
because the thing
mainly just because it's like we don't want to have to pay. Like,
yeah, but Glenn was like, I want to make sure he knows that it wasn't because we thought he did a bad job last night. Like, I would feel better if it's business. Like, it literally is not personal. We didn't dislike you. It's like, oh, fucking get him off the show. Like, he can't come with us anymore. He can't be part of the Daddio tour. But so we reached out to him. We were like, just so you know, because Glenn's schwitzing about this all night and in the morning at Applebee's.
Yeah, I woke up. Ricky had already sent the text. He's like, hey, Glenn's being a weird dumb baby who's worried about your feelings. Just so you know.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, I think I'll bring up the text, but I think that's a direct quote.
Yeah. So the first night, the only place open, I like to go to like a diner or like a Denny's or something after a show, get some breakfast
They have a
food.
couple of Denny's here, by the way. It's fucked up.
Oh.
It's the American imports in New Zealand are
Only sending the best.
Is it like
it's
real,
you and Denny's,
or is it like it looks and kind of feels like Denny's but tastes off like a vegan
the Denny's
restaurant?
of stand-up comedy? You think?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm
a weird American
export
to New Zealand.
I think I like to think.
Should you change your name to Denny Miller? I like the sound of that.
That does kind of pop.
No, that's someone who has a mustache and is racist.
No, I take the fingers away from myself. I take the fingers away from myself.
I haven't been to the Denny's yet. I want to go. But I feel like if I'm anything, they do have a Taco Bell, which is not like our Taco Bell. It's like proper food. Also, their McDonald's fries are gluten-free, so I've had McDonald's fries
That's exciting for you.
Much in the last, because I'm like, I gotta get them while I can.
Does it taste like the smell, like that smell that's everywhere?
It's exactly the same. It's really
that's
good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I want.
But this Applebee's was you like to go to a diner. What is?
Oh, so the Applebee's was the only thing open, so we went there, and I just realized I hadn't been there in years. My dad used to call it a fancy restaurant back in the day.
Yeah.
And so when we'd go and it'd be like half off appetizers, he's like, that's what you got to get at the fancy restaurant. It's the only way we can eat here.
We would go to Red Lobster, I think, every 2 months, and it was like a big deal.
But Red Lobster and Olive Garden are two of my dad's favorites. Glenn mentioned that it's like a family going on vacation and on vacation eating at Olive Garden.
Yeah, that's what I've landed on for all the weird stuff I've been posting on Threads about like trying to figure out what clean comedy is and what people who seek it out are actually looking
ask
for.
Tristan.
I've landed on the idea that it's like they want comfortable comedy. And I'm not saying that judgmentally, because like I used ballet as an example. My 6-year-old takes ballet, so like she's got a recital in a couple of weeks. If I go, I know what I expect out of like little kid ballet recital, but if they're like doing insane avant-garde, like the wildest experimental ballet coming out of Ecuador, I'd be like, what? This is not what I thought this was going to be.
I'd be into it so much more.
I
would just be loving it. I'd be like, this is amazing.
Right. Granted, this specific example might actually be hilarious, but I'm just trying to prove like, if I'm engaged, because most people don't have thoughts about stand-up comedy constantly running like a background script in their head the way that I imagine most comedians and like even like real comedy super fans think about it a lot. I think about it constantly.
Well, I
I
said that
don't
this
think
past weekend,
about
we've done more shows in one weekend, you and I thinking about stand-up comedy and actually going to, than most people go to in a year.
yeah.
We did
Like
3 shows. Most people go to like one
and
stand-up show a
that's
year.
again the thing with like, oh, using follower counts to book people is wild because those people might like watching clips online, but they're not going to go to a live comedy show. Like I said, I didn't go see live comedy until college, I don't think. And it's like other art forms that I don't engage with and think about all the time. If I go to uh like if I go to some band's concert and you're like, "Oh yeah, we're, oh, you like Harvey Danger? This band's kind of like Harvey Danger. You go." And then I kind of know what to expect. And then it's like, "Oh, actually, we're just an industrial noise band. We play purely not
Highway.
and it's like, "Oh, then actually I would like the kind of the comfortable version of this rather than the cutting edge, And for most people who don't spend all day thinking about stand-up comedy and don't have a ton of experience with it, if they go, they just want to hear jokes that they can laugh at. They don't want to have their deeply held beliefs challenged. They don't want to have to feel bad for anybody. They just want to hear jokes and have a nice time. And I don't think that's bad. But I think that is what they are looking for rather than just like, oh, they said bad words. Like Ricky said shit a couple of times on shows this weekend. And I don't think any single person took issue with it.
No,
there
the
was like
thing they
a
took
couple
issue with is the
a couple
1/3
jokes
of my
that didn't
act,
work.
that I'm exercising. So to mention to your special release, I'm going to release something that I was trying to see if I could use in some way. I've clipped it. Show I did in Columbus a couple months ago that there's a lot of crowd work and it just naturally came to be that. So a lot of the hour is stuff that I'm never replicating again, or it's material that now after doing this weekend with Glenn, there's 1/3 of my act that I am completely removing. And so I'm okay because now there's 2/3 on that, which will now be a film special. I'm going to just put it on YouTube. That's never going to happen again anyway. So I was trying to think of a way to use it. Like the audio wasn't good enough for like an LP or something, or to try to put on Sirius. But now after having this weekend of doing, if you ask people, was I dirty? I think me saying shit isn't what they think of, but I think the material of me talking about Amber Alerts and the buddy system, I
the
think
buddy system joke is very good. The rest of it, the audience is
not into it.
Clearly not into it.
But the show in Columbus, because of it being a more diverse, this is me saying this, hipper crowd, because of how the crowd work ended up being, we ended up feeling like family. They felt more comfortable with me with that opening 10 minutes that I tried to do to be like, get to know me. So then when I talk about child thievery, like, it's not a thing that you're being like, ooh, no, thank you. And so it worked then. Almost every time since then, it hasn't. So I'm like, I don't want to do 8 minutes worth of material that is a fucking landmine that I have to dig myself out of every night. So this weekend taught me, I'm like, make it that special, put it out there. You're not going to do that third of it anymore. You've got a weekend worth of shows in Chicago next weekend, so I can start working other ideas and things. I've sent Glenn a few things. So yeah, but I think people would say that I wasn't clean between the two of us.
Oh, I mean, between the two of us, absolutely. I was absolutely cleaner because I'm a squeaky little boy.
Though I would also say this, that I feel like the barometer for what is clean comedy has changed, because like people are out here saying wild out of pocket shit. Like people are throwing around the word cunt in a way that is like crazy. So
well, that's because you're in New Zealand.
Well, number one, yes. Number two, I also hang out with pretty exclusively queer people, and it means something different in that community.
Yeah.
But also like talking about stuff that's like it's just like the barometer has like just shifted, or not the barometer, it's a different standard. So I feel like shit's not even a dirty word, really, in at least major metropolitan areas. I don't
Well,
know.
that's one
Maybe.
that I've used on stage. Like for sure, I've said the word shit on stage and had people after the show be like, "Oh, it's great that like you were so much cleaner than everybody." It's like, well, I said shit a couple, but it wasn't like, here's a joke about me taking a huge shit. It's like, oh, I was
and
like getting all this shit from my car the other day, and
And
it's
so
like,
I agree with you, Tristan, where shit has become one of those where like I think we've all agreed shit's okay to say, but I do act because that is like how Glenn just spoke. That's how I say it. But I do actively, when it's trying to be a cleaner show, not say fuck or fucking, which I use in the
that's
same
100%.
exact way, even though it's
Yeah.
like
Getting all
if
this
I
it's
were
like,
to
oh, I was in fucking traffic the other day.
I wasn't fucking an Ewok, all right? I wasn't in a full, like, perfect, like, head-to-toe replica, like,
I
just raw dog in an Ewok.
I always feel like it's it's broadcast television rules. You can say damn. You
Yeah.
can say asshole, son of a bitch,
Late night
and
clean.
an occasional shit. Like I feel like it's the main thing.
Well, that's the thing that we've brought up before of sometimes people will use older comics as examples and be like, oh, like Steve Martin always worked clean. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
You're just thinking of television appearances where he had
he
to.
says fucking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this as well. Like, an interesting standard my parents have is because they're still once a week church going folk, and so I can say motherfucker and they won't like love it, but they're like, but if I say goddamn, they're like, no, wait,
Well, yeah, that's
watch your mouth.
there's one goddamn on Crime League, and it's like, God, this is the one I'm gonna hear from Dry Bar fans about. And it's like, sorry, that's the funniest way to say that line. Like, it's the goal is create the best comedy, not have to get the 3 comments that I got from it. Mike added this, that swearing in advertisements has really shifted the acceptance of swearing in normal conversation. I think good observation, Mike.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's usually like Grawlixed out, but
like when you had a book, a
Frank's
bestseller
Red
book
Hot, I put that
that's
shit on everything. It was like a 20-year-old campaign at this point.
What is it? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. When that was a New York Times bestseller or whatever. Also, I've always, maybe this is another person's joke, and forgive me if that is the case, but it always has really bothered me. It's like, well, do you really not give a fuck? You are censoring the word fuck.
Yeah. But again, I mean, person who wrote the book probably wasn't like, oh yeah, put some squiggly lines over that. It's the publisher. They're like, well, we have to because of like Barnes and Noble law or whatever. Mike coming in with the hits. They were shocked the first time they heard Patton Oswalt outside of King of Kings. It's like, or King of Queens, I think is what you meant. Unless Patton Oswalt was in a biblical tome that I'm unaware of. But
King of Kings, starring Patton Oswalt. Let me tell you about Boba Fett. Like, he crawls out of the Sarlacc pit.
But yeah, that's another one where it's like, yes, if you see the person primarily on broadcast television, you are going to think they are clean because they have to be. And it's about like working under the constraints.
Another thing I think that's added to this is Netflix not abiding by the broadcast rules. And so we have this whole generation of kids that's just like, oh, you could just say
great point. Netflix has done nothing but good things for comedy. Everything is so much better because of their involvement in stand-up.
Wait, did you say I like Taylor Tomlinson?
Yeah, listen.
Wait, is there a community that is
no? She just has a number of Netflix, but I mean, Dimitri Martin does too. But he was one of the early Netflix specials, and I don't know if he just like had a deal for a certain number, so he just keeps putting them out.
Netflix definitely made a lot of like, you get 3 of these deals.
Yeah, and I believe I might be wrong. I think the first stand-up comedy special that Netflix originally produced was Hodgman's Ragnarok.
Really?
Which they pulled around the streaming release of Thor Ragnarok. A thing he's not confirmed, but he's like, God, is that why? Did they really take it down because people are going to think this is Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
They took it down?
44-year-old man talking about mayonnaise. That's going to be a problem. And I think that was the first like original comedy hour that they
Yeah, I think it
had,
was that and
or at least
American
released,
Ham.
if not produced. I don't remember all the details of that deal of like
Mhm.
whether it was something he filmed and then sold, or if Netflix was like, "Hey, a guy who does weird stuff on the Daily Show sometimes, you want to film a show?"
Mhm.
But to the thing of it being about comfort rather than just like use of clean words. So you have a whole special about, mental illness, which
Mhm.
um, I don't think is clean, right? It's been a
I
few weeks since
say
I
it's
watched it.
rated PG-13. I say fuck once in a non-sexual context.
Okay.
That is always what I've advertised the show as.
Yeah.
Um,
And
That's how you've
because I wanna make
advertised it. I say fuck once,
one time,
and no sexual.
and you're never gonna believe where it is.
Yeah.
but it's
I think it's
Fuck!
a well-earned.
Just right at
Just
the beginning,
because of-
just you yelling, just like in the darkness, you're just like fuck, and then stage light comes on.
But that was intentional as well, to like limit the amount of vulgarity in it, because I wanted it to be accessible to like younger people, and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
like to tour it to like colleges and stuff eventually. Or
Were you able to
whatever.
mark it on YouTube as made for children?
No, because there's
Okay. Because there's the
because I do
fuck.
say the word fuck, and I do talk about like suicide, and I don't like want
You know,
8-year-olds
yeah.
showing up. But Glenn, did you have a further point?
just the point that
Mm.
whether you say fuck, regardless of how many times, like, I think a lot of people aren't going to look at that as like quote unquote clean, but again, because they're not looking for this doesn't have bad words in it. We are looking for comfortable comedy.
I think
and
I think you give that group that you put everybody together for that a large. You give them a large benefit of the doubt, where I think people would probably look who want that at Tristan's, and it talks about suicide. My mention, does it talk about therapy or drug use
Yeah.
or sex, like at all?
Mhm.
They would say that is not clean.
yeah.
Yeah, that's adult themes.
And I think
Yes.
the
Rated T for
least clean bit of work I've released is probably Good
That
Grief.
sex tape.
Is the sex tape where you see the whole thing.
What I released was that
whole
child
lot.
that I was holding captive in a cage in my basement, Silence of the Lamb style. That's the most clean thing I've released, because I hosed them down before I said, "You're free, child. Go."
But I
Out into
haven't
the wild.
watched Good Grief again in a while, so I
Mm.
don't remember. But again, it is an hour about grief and loss and mental health, and it is not comfortable. Like,
No,
Comfortable.
it is the thing of
that room was
when
way too hot where we recorded it.
oh yes,
But you know
Good
what? There's
Grief featuring Tristan Miller
a
opening
large
in a
amount of
very
those
sweaty
people
room.
that want comfortable comedy. They're also comfortable with large amounts of misogyny a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so
Yeah.
I'm like,
No one's saying it's not hypocritical.
Yeah. But with Good Grief specifically, it's like, well, yeah, this isn't comfortable, and it's not supposed to be. But the thing where like edgelords who complain about clean comedy, they're like, oh, you're just
People
doing like
complaining about-
safe, boring material. And it's like, no, I did an hour about my brother who died in a car accident. Tristan is doing it 48 minutes about bipolar disorder. There's a lot of like around the time Good Grief came out, there was like a spate of dead loved one comedy. Winston Hodges did one about his dad. Liz Glazer, I forget who died in their life, but
Liz had a miscarriage.
Okay, yeah, I know there was a grief one. Laurie Kilmartin album of dead jokes about her dead dad. And it's like, yeah, like whether any of those that I've just listed use swear words or talk about sex in addition to these things, I don't think people who are seeking out clean comedy are like, oh yeah, let me watch an hour of jokes about Winston's dead dad. That'll be a great fun time. It's a good spot, if anybody is looking for a good one, Winston's is very good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Glenn, where it's like, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's like relaxed. I'm not gonna get my dander up on anything this motherfucker's gonna say or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Unless it
Keep that dander
100% unless it 100% supports where I'm charged with, like, if I'm charged about something politically, that's what I'm saying. It's like, It's
But again, I mean, I don't think me landing on it being that they are seeking out comfort. I don't mean
yeah.
to
It's
sound
it's still a big
judgmental.
net.
Like that's fine because that's what I got, baby. If you want, unless it is something like Good Grief, where it's like, hey, I understand this is not what I usually do, so I started touring it separately. Of like, I made it very clear what the show was at the top in the name, all of it. It's like, look, yeah, I know I'm normally the guy with cute stories about his kids, but this one's kind of a bummer. So if you want to sit this one out, I don't blame you. The current hour is becoming increasingly about autism, but it started with like
it is literally you being uncomfortable about like 4 different chunks of things to fill up that hour.
Yeah,
like
it started with this list of things I was trying to improve as a comedian, and then it's like, oh, I think a lot of this is personality flaws, and then it's like, actually, some of this is, I think this is what autism is actually, and then it's like, well, I don't think that's a flaw, and it's like now it's kind of led to a reversal of the premise of like, these are things I need to fix in my life, and it's like, no, I think these are just things I need to figure out about my life, and then look at what this means moving forward. And then it's like, yeah, a lot of the list stuff was like, oh, I can use this as an excuse to do this joke that I wrote, right? Like I talk about how I don't usually ask my friends questions about their lives, which I understand is a trait of autism, but it's like, well, that one I can work on. Like that one I can actively, the way that I learned how to draw what faces look like when they're happy or whatever. It's like, yeah, just remember when you're hanging out with your buds, throw a question in once in a while about them. Don't just talk about yourself the whole time. But then I have this joke about how I don't know what most of my friends do for work. And it's like me talking about that part of the list is like, oh, then I get to do this joke. So it's, yeah, it is. It's a thing. I did the same thing with Good Grief. I pitched it to a Fringe festival that was like 6 months away, and then got accepted. And it's like, oh, now I gotta do it. So I pitched the new hour under the title "Glenn Tickle Tries to Be a Person" to a Fringe festival later this year, and it's like, well, now I gotta figure that. Got to really lock that hour down.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it is so very late for you, Tristan.
Yes, thank you for indulging us and
happy to.
With all of the Star Wars talk. I feel like we can do the next time you come on, it will literally just be Star Wars talk.
Yeah, we'll get all the boring stuff about your comedy out of the way, and then we'll just talk about
Would none of us have anything to hawk. Yeah.
Anything else?
Do I have anything else to talk? Yeah, I have a podcast called Focus Testing, which Glenn has been on a couple of times. Ricky, I will get in contact with you to be on that soon.
Yay!
But and I have the special out on my YouTube channel, and then also I have a Substack, tristanmiller.substack.com, where I do film reviews and then do put out Focus Testing, and then also do a bonus podcast called Movies to Fall Asleep To, where I talk to people about their comfort movies, and Glenn did that. And can you guess what movie he talked about?
Bakru Banza.
You better believe it. It's almost 2 hours, and I'm like, well, luckily,
is anybody picked
to fall asleep to?
It is also
picked, Lynch for their movie to fall asleep to.
No, not so far.
Because that's just nightmare fuel.
Well, listen, I fall asleep to Twin Peaks all the time. I really find it comforting, but
it is, except for when it is deeply disturbing.
Even then, I'm like, my nightmares,
Yeah. Great. Let's watch a horror movie.
But that theme, the opening credits with the sawmill. Oh, baby, I want a 4-hour loop of that. I'll sleep like a baby.
Oh, I'm sure there is a YouTube of that.
Honk Shua.
Yeah. Follow me at Tristan J. Miller on Instagram. I guess that's the main one we're supposed to plug now.
No. I know it might not be around forever. Your TikTok is fantastic. I never,
thank you.
I never slide past a clip of yours performance. So if anybody is still on the TikToks,
yeah. I mean, it's really big down here because they don't have the same laws as the States. So they just are fine with it. So
I mean, impending ban aside, it is just devolved into
porn.
Every time I open it, I wish. Every time I open it, it is just like 8 notifications that are just from TikTok about trying to get me to sell stuff. And it's like, oh, no, thank you.
They're like, you should really promote this video that had 3 views. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'd like more views, but
Yeah, they're like, oh, this skincare brand wants to partner with you. Why? Yuck, get out of
I
here.
also
Show
opened up
people my
Twitter
comedy.
recently, and I'm like, I can't believe motherfuckers are still on this thing. And it's like busy, but it's like messy. But I'm like, people are
That's-
still
yeah,
on X.com.
X. I am too. And it's just,
Boo.
I don't even post on it anymore. It was my writing tool to keep things 140 characters and under for like jokes and different ideas I was
Mhm.
working on. But yeah, again, that has just divulged into porn. Just
There's a
straight up porn and
too much
bots.
pornography. I
Yeah,
would say
way too
this,
much pornography.
as well as like there's a lot of YouTube videos going around of like the dead internet theory, and I'm like, okay, I think we're getting we're brushing up on something here. Something's got to give, because like this isn't working anymore.
Man, if Mike Flincham's still listening, he loves a dead internet theory.
Which is, I think, it's not the best, but I think Substack at least is nice. And then like if you get like a group chat going, my buddy Scott in New York, he has a couple of like Discord servers that are all just like about movies or whatever, and he's like, yeah, it's a chat room, it fucking rules. Whereas like
I'm in one. I'm in a Discord server for Dr. Mario, and then another one for Harvey Danger, and then one with just like my friend Jeremy and a couple of our buds, and it's just like that's the one where it's like I get the most use out of it, because it's like you're just checking in with 3 or 4 people pretty well, and you're like, oh hey, here's a thing, I don't want to put this one on Threads, but what do you all think of this thought? And it's nice.
they used to say that George Carlin would just call people up, say one joke, and hang up, and I think we should just
I
go
love
back to
that.
that system.
No, do not call me on the
Oh, I love
telephone.
a phone call. Call me. Call me.
On the line.
Call me, baby. You know that song?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Blondie.
By
Yeah.
Blondie, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Featured in American Gigolo.
Gigolo. Great soundtrack.
Deuce Bigelow?
Yep.
Deuce Bigelow, American Gigolo, starring Richard Gere and Gerbil.
I've been hosting trivia for a couple weeks now,
Fun
and
gig.
it's way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I kind of agreed to do it reluctantly, because it's like, well, I got Tuesday nights free, pays pretty well for a thing that happens 10 minutes away from my house. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. If I think the question is too hard, I like to throw in a little hint for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And last week, I've been doing it for like a month and a half, I think, something like that. And last night, one of the teams that's usually there every week asked, so like, when you add something on, is that like part of, because it's just like an app that I don't write the questions, and they're like, does it say like hint and then the thing you add? And it's like, oh no, I think that happened once. There was like a question that was worded that way. It was like, oh, of the 3 major sports leagues, how many team names are repeated? And I think the example was like the Giants, right? There's a football Giants and a baseball Giants. And I'm like, no, every other time it is just like also another thing that I know about the thing that the question is. And she's like, that's really impressive. I was like, thank you. A question last night was which came first, the Catholic cardinal or the cardinal, the bird, like with the name, not the thing, because
Oh,
obviously the
interesting.
birds, but the name. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if it helps, the cardinal is the state bird of 7 of the 50 United States. And she's like, was that one on the thing? I was like, no, just I know that it is.
So you're getting an autism assessment.
So what did we learn?
Dog. I've been making a list of specifically for like joke purposes, making a list of all the things that I brought up in the 45-minute version, and then I have the 3-hour one. It was supposed to be June 3rd. I had to push it back a week because booked a cruise gig. Your boy's going to Alaska for the first time.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
But I had to call the doctor, because it's like, if I can push this back a week or 2, I will take the gig. If I have to push this back like 6 months, sorry, boat people, I gotta figure this out. So she let me push it back a week. But that is going to be like I believe like a 3-hour thing. It's like, I'm going to be making a list of all the things that I say that I think like seal it. Like I talked a lot about astronaut ice cream. because she's like, do you have any stuff with like sensory issues around food? I was like, there's a lot of food that I don't like to eat because I think it's yucky. But then there's also foods that I know other people don't like that I like a lot, like astronaut ice cream. And then I explained to her the history of astronaut ice cream, the process by which it is made, why it is worse now because of the business practices of astronaut foods and how they sourced their ice cream. And then realized a couple minutes in, I was like, I'm so far afield from the question that was asked of me about, hey, is there food that you don't like? And I was like, let me tell you. So the company that Astronaut Foods bought their ice cream rectangles from went out of business. They couldn't find another supplier, so they just started using ice cream sandwiches. But the cookie part doesn't freeze dry as well as the ice cream part, so it's a less pleasant experience. She's like, I mean, you can still come for the next one, I guess, if you want.
I think that's where we end it, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
so
we'll
much.
let Tristan. Sorry, tuck
I'm
themselves
literally
in.
blanket.
He's all tuckered out. We should at least sing him. Too bad we don't have like a full bedtime theme to.
I was trying to think of the chillest
of the
chillest
Daddios
version.
themes.
I'm imagining the Twin Peaks theme in my head.
Yeah, it's a good one. Just watching the saw blades go down. I want a 4-hour, not even just loop, just like
Fuck,
if
did
we're
you
using
guys- Did you
AI
see the
for
saw blades
anything.
go down? Give me those saw blades going down.
I know you don't like David Lynch, and that's why you murdered him, Ricky. But if
Yeah.
you just look up the opening for Twin Peaks,
No, I know. I watched Twin Peaks.
it's great.
You can't lay that on me as I know.
Oh, Ricky murdered Ricky Lore.
I'm not
Ricky
that you
Lore
have to
murdered
be
I know
David
that
Lynch.
story, but
Not
the
that
fact
you have to be
don't like it.
exclusively. Not that you have to be exclusively. But I'm a Cronenberg, not a Lynch. And again, there's plenty cross whatever. I've tried
Yeah,
with
I'm
Lynch.
also a Cronenberg.
My favorite Lynch is Elephant Man, which makes it like the least Lynchian thing of anything that he's done.
I watch Straight Story. Then is what I have to say to you. It's on
Love
Okay.
Straight
Plus.
Story.
Straight Story is a great film about a man who's trying to go all the way to Iowa from, I think, Wisconsin on a
Okay.
tractor
Yeah, it's great.
to visit his
That
brother.
sounds it.
It's
Yeah.
great. Based on a
And
real story.
There are
Rated
things I liked
G.
about the first season of Twin Peaks, but again, I think hitting it late in life, I was just like, oh, okay. They all watch the soap opera, and this is a show that is
Well, I mean, season 2
a
is
satire
bad. Like
of
that's just
a soap opera.
the way it is.
Like,
But the return is incredible. You get Dougie Jones.
and then I
Dougie
tried watching
Jones.
Firewalk with
Dougie
me that so many people are just like, man, you don't even have to know the series. I was like, I do know the series. Like, I watched it. And like,
That
oh, but
one's
even if
hard.
you didn't like the series that much, it's amazing. And I watched it. I was just like, yep,
Hard watch.
it's out there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I like absurd
Dougie
things.
Jones.
Just Blue Velvet.
Coffee.
Blue Velvet doesn't do it. Like, I tried.
That's my favorite one. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful film, and
I-
also, if I may, very funny.
Yeah.
Again, like,
When he looks in the bag and goes, "That's a human ear," gets me every time.
Eraserhead is still probably my favorite, and I also contend very funny. People are like, oh,
Yes,
you like it because
Eraserhead
it's
is
so messed up. I was like, no, it's hilarious.
It's so funny. It's like it's yeah. Most of his films are very funny, I think.
Yeah.
Except for Lost Highway's not a bag of laughs, but
No,
Can't
there's a
Win.
couple good little jokies in there.
There are, yeah. But I respect your opinion, Ricky.
I
I
know.
don't.
I'm
have
sorry.
to.
I know it makes it.
And I don't wish for. I don't want you to feel bad. I just wish you liked a thing I liked. But you know,
I
I'm sure there's
like-
shit that you like that I don't. You know,
100%, but
you know, it
I
is what it is.
respect and I love that he exists and did what he
Mhm.
did. It just is not for me. As for a long time was the same with Coen Brothers Big Lebowski. For a long time, it was not for me. I didn't
Still,
get it.
they're next up on Blank
but-
Check, so I'll give it another shot, but I don't
You don't like the
rock
Lebowski?
Lebowski. I like a lot of the Coen's other stuff. We were talking about it
I'm 50. I'm 50-50,
on the trip. Like
Yeah.
their True Grit, incredible.
and I'm not. As big
It
of
made
a-
me
Serious
want to
Man?
go back and watch the John Wayne one, which I'd never seen, and I read the book True Grit because I like that movie so much.
Yeah, a serious
crazy.
man.
Like I
Yeah.
Serious Man is so funny.
Very
What do you-
funny.
there's a supercut of Michael Stuhlbarg going, "What is happening?" and it's really good.
Blood Simple. It's only one I've watched within the last couple years. I love it. What a turnout on your first go around. I mean, I know they'd worked on a lot of different things, but for their first feature, I was just like, this is phenomenal.
I'll say this as well.
All right, Tristan's getting increasingly
Minnesota.
supine. I feel like we need to
He's like-
release them.
Please let me go.
It's the Daddios Show.